Chapter 601. The Duel Between the Eagle and the Snake. Inside the house. This pain is really unbearable. Orochimaru sat on the bed, his face almost contorted, but it's nothing compared to what I'm about to get. Sheila. Boom. In an instant, Orochimaru's thoughts came to him. When he sensed the strangeness in front of him, his hands immediately cross in front of you. The power condensed by Raiden Thunder-style chakra, Orochimaru bit Kiba and barely resisted its attack. The nature of this chakra is morphological changes that I have never seen before. A pair of golden snake pupils stared at the dark passage ahead. Accompanied by the blue lightning, Sasuke stepped in with an indifferent face. Sure enough, it's really you. After seeing Sasuke, Orochimaru narrowed his eyes and said in a deep voice. He was not surprised, but showed a weird smile. Is this your hidden power, Sasuke? You have nothing left to teach me. Sasuke's expression did not change, and he looked at Orochimaru coldly. So you also have no value to use at all. As soon as the words fell, Sasuke's pair of dark eyes immediately became Yuhi. The three Tomo slowly appeared and turned on it. Stepping forward, the crackling thunderbolt in his hand did not stop at all, and with Sasuke's movement, its power became even stronger. The thunderbolt that Orochimaru barely resisted just now pierced his hands instantly, and the blood of the gorilla Yuhi flowed down. You are just a genius in the eyes of these secular people. Sasuke continued in a cold voice, his face full of sarcasm. These. On the contrary, to me of the Uchiha family, you are just a mere mortal. Just like you still want to try to get your hands on my body, Orochimaru, you have to say it sometimes. How naive. You're just a chick who doesn't know how to spread its wings. How dare you talk to me like this now? Orochimaru's eyes were gloomy, and he couldn't tell what kind of expression he had on his face. Haha. It is precisely because it is a chick that I choose to come to you to grow up. Sasuke sneered, recalling the various images in his mind. Now that the eagle has grown up, the stinky snake that does not see the light can really die. Hehe Sasuke, do you think you can kill me now? Orochimaru bit Kiba, a pair of golden vertical eyes staring at Sasuke. Can kill you. Sasuke stepped forward, the thunder and lightning in his hand kept chirping. Smile finally appeared on his indifferent face. Don't say it's just you. Even if it's you in your heyday, as long as I want, I will still destroy you for you. Almost dodging, Sasuke pulled out the grass pheasant sword from his waist in an instant and stabbed Orochimaru in front of him. At this moment, the two sides are at a critical juncture. Orochimaru opened his mouth, and a black shadow flashed across Sasuke's face. Seeing this change, Sasuke, who was holding the pheasant sword, immediately stopped in midair. Orochimaru in front of him has lost its vitality, like a human skin puppet. Looking back, a huge white snake appeared here. In this small room, its huge size seems a little out of place. It was all white with white scales all over it. And its head is not a regular snake head, but Orochimaru. Although it is no longer his previous humanoid appearance, it can still be recognized by people. White-scaled serpent. Sasuke looked at the current Orochimaru, and seemed a little mocking and said, I didn't expect this to be your real body. In order to change from one body to another, do you keep experimenting, and finally become a posture? Hehe, come on Sasuke. Completely ignoring Sasuke's sarcasm, Orochimaru opened his mouth and devoured Sasuke. Don't resist, just give me your body completely. The huge half-human, half-snake is full of sharp kiba, making people look cold all over. Oh, it's already started. At this time, above the laboratory. When Gongyi first came here, it was already known through his tyrannical perception. Sasuke and Orochimaru are now at war. It's really become like a ghost. Quietly feeling everything below, Gongyi's face showed playfulness. He knew that Orochimaru could no longer be described in terms of human beings. Also, as the last time, I can also let Sasuke conduct the final summary of the actual combat. Gong Yi smiled and didn't choose to shoot now. Orochimaru is currently weak enough to kill him with Sasuke. Furthermore, when it doesn't work in the future, it's not too late to do it again, and now you just need to watch it. You can also take a good look at what Sasuke has grown up to. Boom! At this moment below, there was a huge noise. I saw that Orochimaru's huge body was easily dodged by Sasuke at the moment of impact. Swish swish, but it didn't end. Orochimaru's huge body began to appear densely packed with small snakes. They also opened their mouths and bit towards Sasuke. Huh! Seeing the dense white snakes appearing in front of him, Sasuke snorted coldly and waved the grass pheasant sword in his hand. The muffled sound of puff appeared. Before the white snake could get close to Sasuke's body, it was cut into two sections by the sharp blade too. Silk, one by one white snakes, they seemed to be endless. Although the grass pheasant swords in the assistant were constantly waving, it did not reduce their number at all. The whole room, which was not very big, seemed to be full of white snakes at this moment, and they were like a wave trying to swallow Sasuke. Even after such a long time, Sasuke has sensed that as the sword rises and falls, there are more and more white snakes. It seems that they are going to completely burst the surrounding area. Sasuke stopped struggling. I haven't found Orochimaru who Gong Yi has come a long time ago. He has a huge mouth and looks coldly at Sasuke in front of him. Just like that, don't you feel a little bored? Sasuke at this time, immediately. Explosive retreat, no longer choose to keep slashing the grass pheasant sword in his hand. After a few dodges, he has come to the outside of this room. Kang! Sasuke immediately took the grass pheasant sword in his hand. Insert back into the hilt. A pair of Yuhi's 3 Tomo Sharingan, at this time indifferently watching the countless white snakes in front of them. Chapter 602. Impure Power. Happy New Year. Close black lens bracket. The snake lying on the ground dreams of flying into the sky. Sasuke quietly looked at the white snakes around him, and began to wrap around him constantly. But he didn't panic at all, instead he still said lightly, "This is impossible. But you don't believe in fate and want to give it a shot. So, you saw what is still, the chick in the nest." There were more and more white snakes, and Sasuke was completely wrapped in these two sentences. Before Orochimaru, Sasuke had long since disappeared, and all that was left was to devour Sasuke, the dense white snake. Arrogant brat, this is just your ignorant reverie. Orochimaru stared at everything in front of him and said with a cold smile. But, next second, Sasuke's voice came out again. But when you think you will succeed, you don't know it. In fact, you have already been targeted. Sheila. A violent thunderbolt suddenly erupted. An azure blue light began to shine continuously from the inside of these white snakes. Chidori. With the chirping sound, like 1001, birds chirping. Countless white snakes instantly turned black, and some even turned into fly ash long ago. Under Gong Yi's previous improvement, Sasuke's Chidori has long been different. Especially now that his power has become stronger, Chidori's power is even more shocking. This somewhat familiar ability, don't tell me. At this moment, Orochimaru looked at the crackling thunder and lightning in the assistant, and his snake pupils could not help but dilate. This has both chakra nature transformation and morphological changes, and gathers Raiden thunder style chakra in the palm to form a high-intensity electric current, which Orochimaru cannot help thinking. The Rasengan ninjutsu created by Gong Yi at the time is similar to. As you might expect, Gong Yi is my real teacher. Yuhi's 3 Tomo Sharingan seemed to see through everything. As soon as Sasuke's voice fell, he attacked Orochimaru very quickly with Chidori in his hand. Along with the blue lightning and thunder, the countless white snakes were still there, blocking them, but they were useless at all. Sasuke, who seemed like a broken bamboo, came to Orochimaru in the blink of an eye. Hehe, the use of chakra and the master seems to be a lot more accurate. Gong Yi, who had come to the battlefield, looked at Sasuke in front of him and couldn't help but praise. The current Chidori is used in Sasuke's hands, completely surpassing Kakashi. At this moment, with his Sharingan, he is no longer afraid of ordinary cage-level powerhouses. Before Sasuke knew it, Naruto was already there. Although it doesn't have the effect of the curse seal in the original book, but it has a guide, it has long been completely different. That ridiculous curse mark, too. Gong Yi even said that if Sasuke accepted the power of the curse mark now, he would completely eliminate it. After all, such an impure power, it will only drag down people's growth. Looking ahead, Sasuke has completely dismembered the white-scale Orochimaru at this moment. Blood of Yuhi, the gorilla, is constantly flowing across the ground. Although it has been divided into several parts, Gong Yi can clearly feel that Orochimaru is not dead yet. And Sasuke at this moment, he also stood there quietly, without any movement. You don't need to think about it to know that the two should have already started their second battle in their consciousness. Just before Sasuke gave him the fatal blow, Orochimaru should have used some kind of method to directly use reincarnation. So, he wanted to give it a go. It seems that in this battle between consciousness, Sasuke is not as strong as before. Gong Yi stepped in front of Sasuke, and he could clearly feel that the two were constantly fighting each other. However, the current Orochimaru has far suppressed Sasuke. If the corpse is not reincarnated, if it is to be successful, one of the characteristics must be that the spiritual power of the container must be weaker than that of the caster, otherwise the soul of the caster will be at risk of being devoured. But the current Sasuke is not too strong than Orochimaru, so he has begun to appear in danger gradually. In the world of consciousness, there are all snakes here, and there are all kinds of colors, as if coming to a snake cave, making people's scalp tingle. And Orochimaru, he's still here, not giving up and trying to devour Sasuke here. Although Sasuke's face was indifferent, he gradually became a little passive. He didn't expect that now Orochimaru is so weak, it's actually very difficult to deal with. Hehe, Sasuke, come on. Let me replace you, Itachi. I will kill him with my own hands. At this time, Orochimaru wanted to guide Sasuke with the things that had been hanging in his heart. He wanted to use this weakness to devour Sasuke in an instant when he was distracted. You're not strong enough now, you can't kill Itachi at all. With his tongue sticking out, Orochimaru stared at Sasuke with a pair of snake eyes and sneered, only if we cooperate and unite together can we easily avenge the Uchiha family. Hehe. Sasuke stood here, his face showing a more sarcastic look. Itachi, you don't need to worry about it. Now hearing about Orochimaru, Sasuke can finally understand why Gong Yi told him about Itachi's secret in the first place. If Sasuke, who didn't know anything about it, would be instantly moved when he heard Orochimaru's words. No matter what. How did he grow up, Itachi has always been the unforgettable guy in his heart. In this way, if Itachi's situation causes him to lose his mind, Orochimaru can take advantage of it in just a moment. Of course, because of Gong Yi's preparation, Sasuke heard this. His heart was like a calm lake, without any waves. Seeing Sasuke's appearance, Orochimaru's heart sank, and he felt that something might be wrong. He has already used all his whole cards. If he continues like this, his long-term efforts will be in vain. Damn Gong Yi, what the hell did he do to you? Even though it was Orochimaru, he couldn't help but look angry now. Obviously, he has begun to gradually realize that all this is likely to be all arranged by Gong Yi. He had actually guessed it before, but he didn't care. After all, he felt that he was in the master's overall situation. But now this time, he knows. He was wrong. He doesn't have a master at all, and Gong Yi is the one who really controls all of this behind the scenes. Oh Orochimaru, Sarutobi didn't teach you. Is it a bad thing to speak ill of him without others knowing? At this time, Orochimaru had just finished speaking, and a voice appeared, echoing around. The new year is coming. I wish you all the success of your new year, a safe family, and a happy new year. Baidu search 99 Playmate find 99 Novel Network. Chapter 603. Magical Things. Well, that voice is. When this somewhat playful voice reached his ears, Orochimaru immediately. He looked behind Sasuke. His pair of golden snake pupils dilated and contracted, and a look of disbelief appeared on his face. Gong Yi. Teacher Gong Yi. Sasuke turned his head slowly, a moving expression on his previously indifferent face. Only this familiar man can make him not so indifferent. Damn bastard. Orochimaru's face was gloomy, and he was beginning to know that it was all over. Looking at the man in black robe with a smile on his face, he was not in the mood to reminisce. Gong Yi's appearance can already declare his plan to fail. With this guy around, it is absolutely impossible for him to make himself successful. Orochimaru is not stupid, on the contrary, he is thoughtful and knows everything at this moment. From the beginning, he asked Yin 4 people to kidnap Sasuke, and after that, all kinds of things. Although he already knew it, he had to say that what Gong Yi prepared was far beyond his expectation. Actually trained his disciples for Gong Yi. Gong Yi, I really didn't expect that you would actually want to covet the body of the Uchiha clan. Spitting out the snake letter, Orochimaru came back to his senses and seemed a little unwilling to provoke him. Coveting the body of the Uchiha clan. The smile on Gong Yi's face did not diminish, instead he showed a more playful smile and said, I have to say, Orochimaru, your clumsy strategy really makes people feel embarrassed from the inside out. HMPH, now dedicate this body to teacher Gong Yi, so what? Sasuke took back the grass pheasant sword in his hand, he said coldly. Inside and out, he is full of loyalty to Gong Yi. Sasuke is really not just talking about Gong Yi. After all, since childhood, Gong Yi left an indelible impression in his heart. At the same time, Gong Yi's help to Sasuke is also very big. Coupled with the previous letter from Uchiha Itachi, Sasuke was completely caged into Gong Yi's person. Hee. Hearing Sasuke say this, Orochimaru was suddenly speechless. He didn't even know what to say next. Now obviously, the words that I was trying to provoke just now made me seem very stupid. Although he couldn't see anything on his face, he was even smiling coldly. But in reality, Orochimaru's heart began to despair. After a short while, a few sentences were exchanged. Orochimaru didn't even care about Gong Yi. How could his consciousness come here to interfere with him? After all, there are too many magical things about Gong Yi, which makes Orochimaru feel normal. Of course, Orochimaru naturally doesn't know the magical effect of the seed of divine consciousness on Gong Yi. He can completely use his power to invade everyone's consciousness. Just like Naruto and Kyuubi, 9 Tails, in the inner world of consciousness, he can easily enter. And now Sasuke here and Orochimaru constructed the world, he also has no obstacle. Okay, let's end this pointless chat. Gong Yi stepped to Sasuke's side, he looked at Orochimaru and said lightly, Orochimaru, you don't have to play tricks here, I naturally know that killing you now is just an opportunity for your second resurrection. What did you say? Orochimaru's heart sank, and the face just now disappeared completely. Yes, he is really powerless to resist Gong Yi now. Even for Sasuke, he is almost out of the ability to resist. In fact, Orochimaru had already planned it, he was going to let Sasuke devour himself. Then use him to seal himself, and then look for an opportunity to be reborn. After that, he can even attack him in turn and devour Sasuke again. Orochimaru has already calculated the idea of a last stand, even a little risky. With Gong Yi's words, he completely collapsed and collapsed. So it is. Sasuke here, when he heard Gong Yi say this, he immediately thought of countless possibilities. Can't help thinking, I'm really careless. Now Sasuke is really lucky. If there is no Gongyi, he might have fallen for Orochimaru's trick. After all, no one could have imagined that he would do such a dangerous thing. Hee, but now I have a lot of things to do, and I'm not in the mood to talk to you here. Gongyi shrugged, and he stepped in front of Orochimaru. I just hope that after you are resurrected, you can hide well, but don't come to me, because it might actually kill you. Gongyi naturally knew that Orochimaru, who seemed to be immortal, could hardly be killed now. Because Orochimaru usually injects a part of his own chakra when he bites others and puts a spell. Simply, it is just like playing games in your previous life, and you will use it. The archives you get are similar. Although he dies here, Orochimaru can still be immortal, because he can wait for a certain moment to fully use that point of chakra to get out of the body of the cursed guest. Well, although Gongyi now knows about this, but there is nothing he can do about it. Ninja continent is vast, and there are countless ninja civilians. How many people Orochimaru was on, left with his chakra seal, Gongyi had no idea. If you want to completely eliminate him, then you need to kill these guys one by one. But Orochimaru poses no threat to himself at all, and Gongyi doesn't want to do such a waste of time and resources. Especially keeping Orochimaru, Gongyi has other uses, so it's better for him to be alive now. Om! A terrifying chakra force burst out, and now even though Gongyi thought about it. But Orochimaru, he didn't know it at all, and now he was overwhelmed with shock. His own secret, he felt completely seen through by Gongyi. Next second. As Gongyi waved, a golden light now flashed past. Orochimaru never could say anything, and the last bit of consciousness completely collapsed. Almost died in Orochimaru. The moment it fell, Sasuke immediately eyes bloom. The uncomfortable scene just now disappeared, and he was standing in Orochimaru's room again. And in front of him is Gongyi. Putting his hand on Sasuke's shoulder, Gongyi smiled faintly. I know you have a lot to ask, go out and talk about it. Hiraishin's art is activated. Almost instantly, Gongyi and Sasuke have left here. When they appeared, it was already an unfamiliar jungle location. Chapter 604. The Key of Eternal Mangekyo, Second More. Mr. Gongyi, Orochimaru is dead. But there's someone there. Sasuke saw that Gongyi had left with him. He looked at Gongyi immediately. Says, Kabuto. Although Kabuto is not very strong, he is very loyal to Orochimaru. Hee, Kabuto. Hearing this, Gongyi didn't show any expression, but smiled coldly. It's just a poor guy, he's not a serious problem at all. Now Gongyi naturally knew that he was not alone in Orochimaru's research institute. At Kabuto, Gongyi also deliberately let him die. So far, Orochimaru has been dealt with by himself. Then someone has to drive the plot. Nagato and Obito alone are not enough. Now Kabuto, Gongyi can clearly recall what happened after. Generally speaking, after Orochimaru was sealed by the Ten-Fist Sword, Kabuto imitated Orochimaru's survival path in order to find his true self, obtained the ability of Orochimaru and his subordinate Otogakur 5 people and 5 people, and he practiced Sage Mode in Raichi Cave, and threatened to use others to disguise themselves and explore the truth of the world. Demonic illusion Izanami in the battle with Sasuke and Itachi, and finally regained himself and went to the battlefield to heal Sasuke. Well, it was only after the war that he was allowed to open an orphanage in Konoha and return to the life he longed for most. But with such a perfect story now, Gongyi doesn't care. More, Gongyi is now. He wants to use Kabuto's Impure World reincarnation in the later stage to control the Fourth Ninja World War. Although he also uses Impure World reincarnation, he doesn't have time to control these things behind the scenes. So Orochimaru killed himself, but Kabuto left him alive. Now following the track of the original, it won't be long before Kabuto grows and joins Akatsuki. In the end, it will also begin to become the main force of the Fourth Ninja World War. At that time, you can start planning on your own. Well, now this guy Kabuto is really just an ant. Hearing Gong Yi finish speaking, Sasuke nodded his head at that time, with a look of contempt on his face. Now Kabuto, although Gong Yi knows what's going on, for Sasuke, he really doesn't care at all. And he clearly understood that even the guy he ignored, how could his teacher care about? Okay Sasuke, I'm not here today for Orochimaru's business. Senses, Gong Yi looked at Sasuke. Now there is something about Itachi. Ferret. That's right. Gong Yi nodded and said slowly, I think you should know about the Akatsuki group now. Now they have completely provoked the ninja continent, so all the members of the Akatsuki group are very dangerous. Although all the ninja Omura didn't say it on the surface, they have been continuously tracked down. And Itachi, now that you have left Orochimaru, I allow you to go and find him now. Serious expression on his face, Gong Yi looked at Sasuke and continued. Now Anbu has received news from Itachi, which is the first news he has received so far. Akatsuki is acting weird and it's almost difficult to get their whereabouts again. So, now he wants to get Itachi back and bring it to Konoha village. Maybe this is the first and last chance. The situation in the ninja world is rigorous, and there is not much time at all, so I can leave it to you like this. Hearing Gong Yi say this, Sasuke's face changed color. After a long silence, he slowly turned into a firm look. I understand Mr. Gong Yi, this time I leave, I also decided to tell you to find Itachi. Now Sasuke fully understands what Gong Yi means, and he is very grateful to Gong Yi. After all, now that I know these things, I can let go a lot invisibly. At the same time, Gong Yi is willing to rename Itachi and tell him so many things today. Sasuke knows, Gong Yi still takes his business to heart. With such a teacher, how could Sasuke have any unfaithful thoughts? Especially Akatsuki's side, it is really difficult to investigate them. But for his own sake, his teacher has deliberately investigated Itachi's whereabouts completely. Well, Gong Yi is familiar with the original work. Sasuke may not know, these things are also his wishful thinking. Gong Yi looked at him like that, and shrugged his shoulders, showing a helpless smile. In fact, he really didn't think too much about it. To tell Sasuke now is because there is really not much time left. Now Sasuke's Sharingan, Gong Yi can feel that he has indeed grown to a very high level. Too bad, that's not enough. Itachi's side, he had also been in contact with him before. His physical condition was completely terminally ill, and he couldn't last for too long. So Gong Yi knew that even if he helped Itachi now, he couldn't save him at all. In this case, Gong Yi only needs to follow the development of the original book and let the two brothers meet. At the same time, with the help of Itachi, Sasuke Uchiha's eyes can be evolved again. Taking this opportunity, let him open Mangekyo Sharingan. And Itachi's eyes are also the key to open the eternal Mangekyo for Sasuke in the later period. So no matter how you think about it, Itachi's death now can be regarded as a more powerful assistant for himself. Save Uchiha Itachi, there is one less available booster. But now you can enhance Sasuke perfectly, in fact, it's a good thing in disguise. That's it, now Gong Yi will immediately let Sasuke act. Itachi's body is already dead, Gong Yi is not knowing what's going to happen next. Kisame Hoshigaki who is with him, but Ah-Fei. Gong Yi naturally knows Ah-Fei's true identity. So just in case, Sasuke has to find Itachi as soon as possible. Suppressing his thoughts, Gong Yi took out a scroll in his arms. Handing it to Sasuke, he said lightly, since this is also your plan in the future, then this document recording the whereabouts of Itachi's side will be handed over to you, and now go ahead and act. Well, Teacher Gong Yi, I got it. Sasuke took the scroll and put it on him. However, after thinking for a while, Sasuke still looked at Gong Yi and said, Mr. Gong Yi, but before I go, I have another thing. I found a few people in Orochimaru's laboratory before, I can totally do it. Conquer them and bring them back to the village, they are also very powerful. Oh, what a considerable amount of combat power. Hearing Sasuke finish speaking, Gong Yi's face froze. Chapter 605, Organize the Eagle Squad. 4. Sasuke's considerable combat power. Gong Yi already vaguely knew who it was. Chongo, Shangrin, and Ghost Light Shueyu. These three people should be the Eagle Squad, organized in Sasuke's original work. Really good. Now Sasuke did not defect, but became his own. Then these three can also be used for their own use. Although their strength is completely dispensable to themselves. But for the entire Konoha village, it is undoubtedly a real strengthening. Their strength is not their strength, but their ability to each other. Such a precious ability is not something that can be cultivated with the use of funds. Now an ordinary ninja may be able to use various ninjutsu, etc. and money to cultivate him. Able to reach Chunin, Jonin, etc. Strength. Kekkei Genkei, and the ability of a slave to belong to a family inheritance, are not at all random. In the entire ninja world, Konoha village is already the ninja village with the most Kekkei Genkei families. But to put it simply, there really isn't much at all. The Uchiha clan, the Hyuga clan, etc., can almost be counted with one's fingers. Therefore, in Sasuke's Eagle Squad now, the abilities of these three people are indeed rare. For example, Rigo. He is born with the physique of an immortal and can use Sage Art Chakra without training. This kind of ability, but almost no one can encounter. The source of Orochimaru's spell is actually Shigego. There are advantages, but there are also obvious disadvantages. Although Chongo has the ability to absorb natural energy, he will become an immortal when he stays in a place where natural energy is super strong. Sounds good. This invisibility will also enhance his abilities, but unfortunately Shigego has no way to control such power. Therefore, he will go into an unconscious rampage. Of course, these things are not difficult problems for Gong Yi, they are completely solvable drawbacks. After Sasuke brings it, you can study it yourself. As for another incense stick. Full name Uzumaki Karen. Yes, in general terms, she is somewhat related to Naruto. Because they both belong to the same family. Similarly, as a member of the Uzumaki clan, Shangrin has powerful chakra and excellent perception ability. These. 4. Gong Yi, it's actually quite normal and not worth caring about. What is really interesting is another ability of Shangrin. The recovery ability is like a nanny. However, Karen's healing ability is different from traditional medical ninjutsu. It does not take time to heal, as long as the injured person bites her skin, it will heal quickly. Such a physique, Gong Yi is now forced to come and study it. Just imagine, Hidan is still here, he is sealed here. Utilize the heaven-defying recovery ability of Shangrin to match the immortal body of Hidan. If the two can be combined, what can happen? Immortality and immortality. If I can really analyze it completely, then the benefits will be endless. As for the other last member, Gong Yi remembered correctly. It should be called Ghost Lamp Shueyu. He should be the third batch of 7 ninja swordsmen and 7 people in Kurigakure village. One of them, the third user of the broken knife beheading broadsword. Well, another ninja with a special physique. Ghost Lamp Shueyu can liquefy his body, and ordinary physical damage has no effect on him. Even in the original book, the Ghost Lamp Shueyu should have resisted the tailed beast bomb of the 8 tails head-on. The people of the ninja continent know how powerful tailed beast bomb is. It can also be seen from this that if the ability of Ghost Lamp Shueyu is used well, an ordinary team, Jonin, may not be able to do anything to him. At the same time, he is also a genius with a knife, and his overall strength is very good. Of the 3 people in your mind. Now Gong Yi simply thinks about it, the role of 3 people 3 is very big. is also a very good choice, especially for filling the vacancies of elite ninjas in Konoha Village. Now Konoha Village seems to be very strong and has many families. But truly elite ninjas are not enough for Gong Yi. The older generation is just Kakashi, Might Guy, Asuma and others. And the new generation of Konoha 12 Xiaoqiang and so on, these seem to be very numerous. In fact, in such a large village, there is still not enough. Although in the later period, Gong Yi used huge funds to adopt war orphans, and vigorously cultivated ninjas in the village. In fact, the effect is not large, because there are very few really outstanding ones. In 10,000 people, 2 or 3 can appear, which is actually a good result. That's why, from such a huge base, it can be seen that elite ninjas are very precious at all. So Sasuke now brings back 3 guys like 3, which is a safe bet for Gong Yi. Thinking of this, Gong Yi patted Sasuke on the shoulder with a faint smile on his face. Just do as you said, form a team of your own, that's fine. Well, teacher Gong Yi. Seeing that Gong Yi didn't say much, but was very sure of his own thoughts, Sasuke nodded heavily. Okay, now that they made up your mind, now. Let's go. Gong Yi retracted his arms, looked at Sasuke and said with a smile, there's still some time on Itachi's side. You're gathering the finishers, so go right over there. I see, teacher Gong Yi. Sasuke's mind now has more plans unknowingly. I'll leave right away. Well, I'll be waiting for you in Konoha Village. Smile on his face, Gong Yi said lightly, waiting for you in Itachi's return. Don't worry, I will definitely bring Itachi back. Sasuke's face showed uncontrollable excitement. Thinking of what will happen next, he will naturally be very excited. Of course, Gong Yi, who knew the truth, didn't say anything more. It's just that with a smile on his face, he senses Sasuke who has drifted away. At the same time, Orochimaru's laboratory. After the war just now, this place has become a ruin. Looking around, it was extremely dark here. Only the broken crack on the top of the head, there are a few rays of light barely shining in. Master Orochimaru. Kabuto stood here quietly, looking at the white phosphorus serpent in front of him. Was no expression on his face at the moment. In the dark ruins, Kabuto's mirror was reflected with a cold light. He was silent here for a long time, and suddenly a smile appeared in his mouth. I can't tell what kind of feeling it makes, in short. It's very weird. Chapter 606. The Dream Result. Night has come. The bright moonlight poured down on the water. The waterfall flowing down from the peak made a deafening loud sound. Ripples continued to appear on the entire surface of the water, and the moon reflected on it was completely distorted. Boundary of the ninja continent, inside the laboratory. Now Gong Yi has dealt with everything. Here he is, ready to start preparing for the Ten Tails Jinchuriki column force. The meteorite in Hoshinen village, the Ten Tails body I guessed in my own impression, has now been obtained. As for Sasuke, things have basically come to an end. As for Konoha village, I have also arranged it myself, so it will not be a hindrance. Well, because of this, there is no delay in resurrecting Ten Tails to become human Jinchuriki column forces. The time is constantly shortening, and now I have no time to waste anymore. The rest are all trivial, and only really strengthen one's own strength is true. If your own strength is not strong now, no matter how much you calculate, it is useless. Under absolute power, all schemes are but vain. On the Ten Tails side, it is the opportunity for him to become stronger now. Calming down quickly, Gong Yi took out the scroll behind his waist. Immediately, hand seal with both hands and pressed towards the pulled scroll. Familiar with the road. Bang, 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 a muffled sound rang out, and white smoke filled the air. Several small scrolls have appeared, 11 in total. One of them is the meteorite, brought from Shingnan village. As for the others, they are the limbs of the nine-tailed beast and the meat of 10 tails. Although there are only a few small scrolls, it is the result of several years. Under normal circumstances, Gong Yi always takes them with him. Solution. Looking in front of him, Gong Yi made a seal with one hand again. Several small scrolls also began to be unwound one after another. Secret technique peels off the seal. Started the same routine as before, Gong Yi took these. The chakra in the tail of the beast began to peel off a little bit. Was still a routine test session, and he didn't dare to be too careless. Now on the Ninja World continent, it is not what it used to be. According to Anbu's information, the current two tails have been captured by Akatsuki. At Yao, all the ninja Omura were not found. Well, it is also suspected that Akatsuki was also taken away. At first glance, at least 2 tails and 8 tails have entered the body of Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. If I lost the limbs of the 8 tails and the 2 tails, it would be almost impossible to find them again. Therefore, the experiment is risky, and the materials should be used with caution. Gong Yi still chose to be a little more troublesome, and began to use secret techniques to strip out chakra bit by bit. While, you can now see that the chakra of the tailed beast and 10 tails are all sealed in the small enchantment. Although Gong Yi has separated them, they are still in a state of fusion. The mutated 10 tails chakra is constantly attracting them. Now, though, Gong Yi isn't unblocking the restrictions and letting them merge with each other. Because of the current scene, Gong Yi has seen it no less than 10 or 20 times. Well, it's useless even if it's fused, because once it reaches a certain level, it will instantly collapse. Take the meteorite from the last scroll. Weighed it with my hands, and it was a little light, but not as heavy as I imagined. Style is somewhat rounded, with holes all over it, and it does look a bit like a small meteorite. The light of Jin-dun bloomed. Gong Yi held a small long knife in his hand. Not big, like a scalpel. Gong Yi is only guessing now, the real core of this meteorite, he still doesn't know what it is. Now, he is ready to leave all the rocks wrapped inside. The entire outer surface of the rock, under the knife condensed by Jin-dun, is completely like tissue paper. Very easily, Gong Yi cut them apart bit by bit. With strength in his hand, Gong Yi didn't dare to cut it directly. After so many years of experiments, he naturally knew how to operate. While, a splendid piece of wood was revealed. Well, it's really. Sitting here, Gong Yi's face showed vague excitement. Now put all the stones in the outer layer aside. In Gong Yi's hands, there were already small fragments. Indistinctly, it is still there, exuding a strange power. This kind of feeling, Gong Yi has only seen in Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. At the same time, looking at the shard-like dead wood in his hand, it should be part of Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. And through its energy at the moment, Gong Yi can know that he seems like his master's 10 tails meat. Because of the peeling off of the body, a mutation has arisen. After 100 years of worm cultivation, it has become an individual from a new one. That's why, when Nagato used Rinnegan to summon Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, it didn't follow. Meanwhile, Nagato did not leave after Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. Because it is no longer part of Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. Like these, tail beast limbs, like 10 tails meat, have been separated for a long time and have mutated. As for why this Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, it resembles the state of dead wood. Gong Yi didn't think too much about it, the complete body of 10 tails itself is the divine tree. Now that it is in such a state, it can further confirm its original conjecture. This time, the fragments of Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, are used as the container, and the 10 tails chakra is the introduction, and the 9-tailed beast chakra is gathered into one. A pair of deep eyes, quietly staring at the outsider fragments in his hands, Gong Yi's face. Rong showed a long-lost smile, finally condensed into 10 tails. A visceral smile appeared on Gong Yi's face. Unlike his usual fake smile, Gong Yi was really happy. That has been bothering me for a long time may be solved. Has actually been a long time since I got the chakra of the other 9-tailed beasts. Although Gong Yi has many things to do, he has not given up on experimentation. On the contrary, in this short period of time, Gong Yi did not know how many times he failed. Even if you are used to it, it will always be annoying if you keep doing it. But now it's different, the most perfect conjecture at present can be confirmed. As long as it can really succeed. The plan of the small 10-tails Jinchuriki column force can really enter another stage. This is Gong Yi's dream result. Now, when it is confirmed that the meteorite in Hoshinan village really belongs to Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. He was finally relieved, and he thought that he would be successful now. Suppressing his thoughts, Gong Yi picked up the knife that Jin Dun turned into, and began to cut out a small piece of the outer body for testing. Chapter 607. Speculate that the experiment was successful. Simply peeling off a tiny piece of the golem, Gong Yi placed it inside the small enchantment. Up a seal with one hand, open Shikai and remove. Imprisonment of the rest of the tailed beast chakra. Almost blinked, when the power blocking them dissipated, 10 tails, chakra did not stay in the center stupidly, waiting to absorb the chakra of the rest of the tailed beasts. This time, it actually entered the body fragment of Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. Gong Yi, who was standing outside the barrier, suddenly condensed. Now, in front of his eyes, something unexpected started to happen. When the chakra of the 10 tails entered the fragment of Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. A small Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, phantom actually appeared. It was illusory and flickering from the beginning, but now it has gradually solidified. Whoop! Next second. This small Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path body, it actually started to open its mouth. The tailed beast chakra, who was somewhat resistant before, began to be sucked into it. The speed is much faster than before. Although the chakras of these 9-tailed beasts are still unwilling and want to leave outside, they cannot escape at all. Looks like this time, it really succeeded. Standing here, Gong Yi quietly watched the changes in the barrier. Was excitement on his face, and he watched everything that happened inside. When the chakra of one of the tailed beasts was completely inhaled into the mouth of Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. The 9 closed eyes actually slowly opened one. That's right. When Gong Yi saw one of the eyes, it was already slowly opening. All around, unspeakable power began to appear. Such power now makes Gong Yi feel happy. It's from 10 tails, no doubt. Now all the steps, recalling the original, plus Gong Yi's speculation. It has been completely confirmed that I seem to have really succeeded. After a few hours. Now with this little Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, it has opened to the 7th moment. Gong Yi immediately begin to forcibly intercept the chakra power of the last 2-tailed beasts. Can't go any further. Now Gong Yi can be sure that he has really succeeded. My heart is beating, and now I feel the power belonging to 10 tails, it is completely different from before. It's not as violent as before. It also does not have the feeling of destruction that normal people imagine. However, when the eyes of Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, it opened more and more. Gong Yi has already felt the 4, and felt that the entire ninja continent seems to have begun to suppress. This is not simply affecting his side, he even feels that the white full moon outside seems to be abnormal. When these last 2 eyes are opened, Gong Yi doesn't know what will happen to it. While a lot of ways to stop it have been figured out, for now it's just the power of the branch. My current means, I don't want to face 2, 10 tails, at once. Although one is only small. But its power is amazing enough. I am really smart, but I've been mistaken by smarts. I turned out to be only inferior in this part. Looking at the front, when the last chakra of the tailed beast was sealed by Gong Yi. The small Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, in front of him, it began to close its eyes. 1, 2, gradually to the 7th. Immediately, when it was all closed, it began to shatter inch by inch. Followed dissipated, as well as those in its body. The tailed beast chakra. At a glance, Gongyi also knows that it is the power of branches. It is still a little different from Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, by Master Nagato. Seems that due to some defects, it must fuse all 9 tailed beasts at one time to be able to revive. Well, it is fortunate that Gongyi is prepared, so this defect is not a defect for himself. When all the speculations have been completely confirmed, Gongyi is completely relieved. A simple tidying up, Gongyi is recovering the chakra in his body. Now Gongyi really didn't think of it. In fact, a very simple thing was completely complicated by himself. All the failures in the past are nothing but a waste of time. If you think about it, you can actually know. In the original book, whether it is Uchiha Obito or Uchiha Madara, before they became Ten Tails people Jinchuriki column force. After using Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, to absorb the 9-tailed beast chakra and resuscitating the 10 tails. The simple and rude fusion I had before was completely meaningless. 9-tailed beasts, without any guidance, can't actually be counted as 10 tails. Naruto Uzumaki at the end of the original book, although he absorbed the power of the 9-tailed beast. But Uzumaki Naruto, he himself lacks Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, so the tailed beasts cannot merge into 10 tails. This case, in fact, Naruto can only use them. Each other's power. Well, if he were forced to say it, Naruto would be considered a temporary 9-tailed beast chakra container at best, far from reaching the level of 10 tails. His thoughts stopped. Gongyi shook his head and smiled. Now that he is him, he doesn't think about it anymore. Now that everything has been confirmed, you can truly succeed. Then Gongyi also decided that it would be better to hit the sun than to choose a day, and to do it today. Resurrect 10 tails. With Horn, both and Hidan dead, Akatsuki seems to be taking bigger steps. The intelligence from Kimimaro has undoubtedly proved this. Nagato and Mask Obito, there is no longer any hesitation, and that's it, the 4th Ninja World War will start soon. I will definitely have less and less time in the future, and there will never be any more chance to waste time easily. This rare window period is already very hard won. Now that the bug has been found and successfully resolved, Gongyi doesn't want to wait any longer. Becoming a 10 tails Jinchuriki column force is something Gongyi must now accomplish. Despite his current strength, he has no enemy in the entire ninja world. But after the outsider Uchiha Madara, and Otsutsuki Kagaya, are their own obstacles. And more calmly, it is naturally the main thing to improve the strength more. Moreover, although he is cultivating every day, he has been unable to stop. Become a 10 tails person Jinchuriki column force, you can also let Gongyi go to ultimate sublimation. At the same time, you can continue to move towards the next step. Thinking of this, Gongyi immediately opened eyes. State has been restored to the best, then you can start. Philo reminds you, 3 things to read, collection, push the latest chapter Baidu search 99 playmates find 99 novels and LT, please keep this for collection segment. Chapter 608, The Humiliation of the Tailed Beast. The full moon hangs high in the sky. Under the supposedly quiet night, this was not the case in this canyon. The waterfall that flows down from the top of the mountain never stops, making a deafening sound. In the rear, inside the secret laboratory built by Gongyi. At this moment, he has opened his eyes, ready to start the official resurrection of 10 tails. That's right, now completely before Akatsuki, before Uchiha Madara. Reviving 10 tails. Although the idea seems crazy, for Gongyi, it's just an opportunity to become stronger. While the 10 tails are mysterious too. The rest, who cares? Uchiha Madara may not fully understand it. But for Gongyi, it is completely different. Gong Yi, who is familiar with the original book and is like a prophet in the entire ninja world, there is nothing he does not understand. Mokuden, wood style, wooden clone technique. Quickly hand seal with both hands. Wooden figures began to appear in front of Gong Yi at this moment. They gradually began to show the outline of Gong Yi, and in less than half a second, 4 people who were exactly the same as Gong Yi appeared. The idea moved, the 4 of them immediately dodged, came to the 444 corners of the cave's south, north and west respectively. Mokuden, wood style, tree boundary seal. 4 people, 4 simultaneous hand seal, 1 click towards the ground. Boom, boom. 4 thick logs began to rush out of the ground, and they rose up and grew wildly. At a speed visible to the naked eye, they gradually became tens of meters from a height of a few centimeters. I saw the entire cave, as if it was about to be broken by them. Clanging sound continued, and when the 4 sturdy wooden Jinchuriki column grew to dozens of meters, they did not stop. The huge wood Jinchuriki column, there are a series of small wood Jinchuriki column, they begin to grow horizontally and link each other. In a short while, Gong Yi stood here, completely surrounded by Mokuden, wood style. The whole surrounding is like a huge wooden Jinchuriki column prison. In order to prevent accidents for a while, Gong Yi has used the Mokuden, wood style enchantment developed by himself. Its effect may not have much effect on regular ninjas. But for the tailed beast, it is very restrained. Gong Yi has already thought of everything good and bad. In order for him to be smoother in the future, he naturally needs to be fully prepared. Soon, the seal inside the cave has been set. The barrier outside the canyon waterfall, Gong Yi has also reinforced. Didn't take long for everything to be over. After reactivating the Hiraishin technique, Gong Yi returned to the cave. Solution. Looking at the 11 scrolls in front, Gong Yi drank it with one hand. The muffled sound of bang 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 kept, and a white smoke filled the front. When the smoke cleared, all the tails had appeared. This time Gong Yi, he doesn't need to strip off the rest of the tail. All experiments have been completely successful, and the previous steps need to be replicated. Only the only difference. It used to be a little bit of tail beast power, but now it's all tail beast power. It started. Gong Yi's face. Sternly, he placed Shukaku's sand palm on the prepared Matsuri altar. Hand seal with both hands, slap towards the front, seal, release. Gong Yi's voice just fell, and there was a buzzing, and the chakra, which belonged to the tailed beast, suddenly vented out. Terrifying enough to make anyone who feels it shudder. However, with the barrier of the enchantment, its power has not been exposed, and it has not collapsed the surrounding caves. Now it just keeps reverberating around Gong Yi. Roar. Accompanied by the sound of roar, the release of power is even more terrifying. One tail's sand palm seal was released, and it completely collapsed and disappeared. Visible, instead, a small Shukaku. Now it stares, looking at Gong Yi angrily at the moment. Lately, it's just going crazy. His own dignified beast has actually become Gong Yi's experiment. Every time the chakra in the body is deprived a little, it keeps repeating. Now that Shukaku is conscious, it completely thinks that Gong Yi's behavior is humiliating himself. Hee, just calm down, obediently. Looking at the furious Shukaku, it kept trying to rush out of the Matsuri altar. Gong Yi smiled coldly and said slowly, "Today is our last meeting." The art of banning elephants in corpses. After that, Gong Yi has already started hand seal with both hands. The hands are constantly starting to do very complex Indian patterns, which are dazzling enough. This is a high-level sealing technique created by Gong Yi specifically to seal the tailed beasts and resurrect 10 tails. This sealing technique is a combination of the secret techniques that Gong Yi learned at the beginning. Contains the seal of the ghoul, the seal of 8 trigrams, and the seal of the 4 elephants. The sealing technique of Lixiang was researched by combining the characteristics of these types of sealing techniques that he had learned before. Deal with ordinary tailed beasts normally, maybe a single 8 trigrams seal is enough. But this time, he was not facing an ordinary tailed beast. It's 10 tails. The existence of the entire chakra ancestor of the ninja continent is also the source of power of the 9-tailed beast Izumi. It is far different from ordinary tailed beasts, and ordinary sealing techniques are naturally impossible to succeed. Especially now that I am the carrier, if there is a problem with 10 tails, then I will suffer. Regarding the seal, this is where Gong Yi has to make sure that nothing goes wrong. Now that it has been successful, Gong Yi has a plan in his mind. The whole step is actually quite simple. Release the seal and gather all the 9-tailed beasts. Then use the fragment of Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, as the body and the 10 tails meet piece as the primer to fuse the 9-tailed beast chakra. When 10 tails was resurrected, he was using the sealing technique of creation to seal it in his body. Finally, he entered the sealed space and tamed and fused 10 tails with his chakra, even if he was done. But it sounds very simple, but it is not so easy to actually start to operate. Soon, after Aikiao Shukaku was dealt with and he became honest, Gong Yi placed the 2-tailed animal claws on the Matsuri altar again. Seal, release. Still the same step. After Gong Yi established the seal, chakra, which belonged to the second 2-tailed brigade, broke out again. Just like Aikiao Shukaku just now, the current Yuri has also transformed into a form. It also roared at Gong Yi, a pair of green and yellow eyes, staring at Gong Yi. When Gong Yi wants to resurrect 10 tails in recent days, it is not only Shukaku that suffers. The other 2, 3, 4, and so on, they are not at all immune to it. In this way, they have already given birth to consciousness long ago, and they are naturally emotional after seeing Gong Yi. All the tailed beasts have very arrogant dignity. Gong Yi humiliating them like this is unacceptable for all the tailed beasts. The elephant sealing technique. Use the complex gesture hand seal again. Gong Yi doesn't care so much now. I just need to quickly seal all of them, and then send them to the front of the 10 tails body. This is true. Chapter 609. Small-tailed beast style, third more. Accompanied by a loud roar of the tailed beast. It can be clearly felt that if there is no enchantment around it, the ground here is sure to shake and be completely destroyed. Fortunately, although their power is terrifying, there is an enchantment, and everything has not leaked out to the outside. Soon, hours have passed. Gong Yi looked at the limbs of the tailed beast in front of him, which had already begun to decrease gradually. 4-tailed fingers, 5-tailed horns, 6-tailed tails, 7-tailed wings, etc. They have all been unsealed and turned into small-tailed beasts. But before they could get angry again, they were blocked by Gong Yi again, waiting for fusion. When Gong Yi brought Kyubi, 9 tails, to his side, after the final seal was over. Now all that's left is the 10 tails chunks, and the shards of Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. The two can be said to be completely one thing, and also the core needed for this resurrection. Solution. Unleash the chakra power of 10 tails meat. Obviously, its power is completely stronger than the previous 9-tailed beasts. Now that it had appeared, Gong Yi did not seal it, but placed the fragment of Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, in the center of the Matsuri altar. Immediately, a miraculous thing happened visibly to the naked eye. Just now, the roaring 10 tails phantom, which has been completely absorbed into the body of Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. Immediately afterwards, it can be seen completely shattered, beginning to gradually take on the appearance of a small Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. However, it is much stronger than before, and at the same time, the skin that looks like dead wood has completely disappeared. It has begun to slowly recover thanks to the 10 tails chakra blended in. Without further ado, when there was no accident at the core, Gong Yi was relieved a lot. Now put the rest of the 9-tailed beasts that were sealed behind it all around it. This small Geto-mazo demonic statue of the outer path, which has been solidified, slowly opened its mouth and began to greedily absorb the chakra of the tailed beast. The 9-tailed beasts around them, like mouth-watering delicacies, made Geto-mazo demonic statue of the outer path, who was a bit irritable before, begin to calm down. It has begun to focus on a single one, and it has begun to devour the chakra of the tailed beast. The first to bear the brunt is Shukaku, who shouts the most fiercely. Now it has begun to contort its whole body, although it is resisting very violently. But with the restraint of Gong Yi's inner elephant banning technique, there is no way to do it now. It can only be just like this, being swallowed up by Geto-mazo demonic statue of the outer path. The elephant sealing technique was prepared for 10 tails, but the reason was just now that Gong Yi chose to seal all his 9-tailed beasts over and over again. In fact, in disguise, it is also to speed up. Because according to the previous test, the tailed beasts that have been scattered, they will try their best to resist the absorption and fusion of 10 tails. Therefore, after using the corpse elephant banning technique, the power of the tailed beast will be immediately released. Seal it up. This case, disguised form can also allow Geto-mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, to absorb them all more quickly. It was originally a simple conjecture, but at present, it has indeed succeeded again. Was sealed, Aikita Shukaku was quickly sucked into the golem's mouth. No matter how unwilling it is, or wanting to leave, but there is absolutely no way. After it is sealed, it can only be swallowed like a lamb to be slaughtered. When Shukaku's side broke down, one eye of Geto-mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, had slowly opened. The power started to become more terrifying and tyrannical. Compared with just now, Gong Yi could clearly feel that the two were not on the same level at all. After all, it was only a small part of the power before, and all of it could not be felt too deeply. Different now it's a kung fu, but Gong Yi put all the power of the entire tailed beast here and let it devour. And because of the art of banning elephants, these tailed beasts didn't struggle, so not too much chakra was lost. Therefore, the power it devours now is also the purest energy of the tailed beast. The sound of the waterfall outside was deafening. The enchantment inside, the tailed beast's unwilling roar is not stopping all the time. Gong Yi stood here quietly, feeling the changes brought about by Geto-mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, absorbing the tailed beast. It is a very wonderful feeling, and as it continues to absorb the tailed beast, a power that destroys the sky and the earth gradually looms. This is an extremely fierce, suppressing force that makes people breathless. This became even more intense when the second eye was opened after the Re-Brigade was absorbed. Not long ago, with the continuous absorption of the tailed beast, such power has now begun to emerge. The entire cave has begun to be filled with various factors of despair, depression, irritability, anger, and panic. This is a side effect of 10 tails itself. However, Gong Yi's face at the moment still had a smile on his face, and he was completely unaffected by it. At this level of power, such external factors alone cannot drive Gong Yi's emotions. Contrary, when feeling all these changes now, Gong Yi's heart is beating endlessly. 10 tails, all of which are harbingers of its imminent resurrection. Golem. The current Geto-mazo demonic statue of the outer path keeps making sounds. It has begun to slowly come to life. From the beginning a little, to so gradually majestic. Soon, still, the struggling Neo-Isozuke, it also immediately be absorbed in. As more and more tailed beasts were gradually absorbed, the speed of Geto-mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, was also much faster. The third pupil has slowly opened. The power of madness in its Geto-mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, spews out again. When this terrifying coercion appeared, even though there was a barrier around it. However, it is still leaking out continuously, and it begins to penetrate layer by layer. All the creatures in the periphery, although they can't perceive this power. The 10 tails were here, and the primate's unease made them shiver. Hee hee, it really deserves to be called 10 Tails. Gong Yi stood here, with a pair of eyes watching Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, on the Matsuri altar, and praised lightly, as the top power in the entire ninja world, as the original power of ninjas, it is indeed better than what I see. Any kind of power that has passed is enough to surprise people. This somewhat unbearable power now gave Gong Yi a sense of pleasure. The stronger the current 10 Tails, the more beneficial it will be to Gong Yi. Chapter 610. The Ancestor God of Creation. Dark night, today is gloomy and terrible. As obvious that everyone will come to the day when they are dazzling, but today it is all beginning to be sleepless. In the ninja continent began to feel uneasy in their hearts. Everyone opened their eyes, unable to stay safe. A lot of young men, they start to get upset. And those women were pale and didn't know what was going on. Wow, 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 wow. The cries of children appeared one after another, becoming the only melody in the night. Not only these civilians, but also the ninjas in the 5 major ninja villages and other small ninja villages. They also opened their eyes and felt uneasy. The chakra in the body is a little disordered, and I can't tell what happened to all this. Even here in Akatsuki, Nagato, who had closed his eyes, opened his eyes instantly. A pair of ripple-shaped rinagons, it blooms with a strange divine radiance. At the same time, the pain heavenly path outside has reached the towering platform. He looked up at the full moon hanging in the sky, it seemed to be bloody and dark. This familiar power is pain. S pair of rinnegan zoomed in and out, and it seemed a little unbelievable. What the hell is going on with this feeling? In another dense jungle, the mask Obito stood on a towering tree, and also looked up at the full moon with some Yuhi. Only one pupil is exposed, it is Yuhi the gorilla at this moment, and the 3 Tomo on it are slowly turning. In the village of Iwagakure, Onoki was suspended in the air at this moment, his brows furrowed. In Kurigakure village, Terumi May is standing on the roof with a trace of confusion written all over her charming face. In Sunagakure village, Gaara sits quietly on the suspended gravel, staring blankly at the moon. The entire ninja continent has begun to stage such scenes one after another. At this time, in a canyon on the border of the ninja continent. The huge waterfall, it's still there, roaring down, making a deafening sound. The cave behind it. Now, as the initiator of all this, Gong Yi has not noticed anything strange outside. The end, he still underestimated the power of 10 Tails, which had penetrated the barrier a long time ago. And because of its imminent resurrection, the entire ninja world began to mutate. However, now that Gong Yi's face is serious, he can't care so much anymore. The resurrection of the 10 Tails, the force of its people, the Jinchuiki column, is unstoppable. If the entire ninja continent knew, Gong Yi had to complete this matter. 10 Tails are fully controlled, there will be no one in the entire ninja continent who can stop them. 6 paths, Uchiha, Madara, Otsutsuki, Hamura, Otsutsuki, Kagaya, anyone, will surrender under their own power. At this moment, the most critical moment has been reached. The 8-tailed bull demon, now with an unintentional roar, has been absorbed by the outer Dao demon. The 8th pupil, it has opened. Now with a buzz, the whole mountain is broken. Even the surrounding Mokuden, wood style, and the invisible barrier began to break. Apparently the strength of the 10 Tails, even they are hard to bear. It's interesting. Gong Yi hand sealed with both hands and released several Mokuden, wood style clones again. They all started to come around the small barrier. All hands seal again. Mokuden, wood style, they reappear one after another. 10 Tails are in a state of riots right now, they have no chance to be suppressed by Gong Yi. Gong Yi, who would have thought of all this for a long time, did not panic. Along with Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, it is still, while absorbing the chakras that finally belong to Kyubi, 9 Tails. He is still hand sealing constantly, preparing for the next thing. 10 tails, this can be called the ancestor of Chakra, the god of creation. Legend has it that it can devour the sea, tear the earth apart, and move mountains. Its power is endless, it is impossible to defeat it, it can only be sealed. At the same time, Gong Yi already knew the original book by heart. Now for 10 tails, what exactly is the situation? Gong Yi naturally knows Akatsuki. Hula, hula, the absorption continues, and the visible Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, which had a small body before, has begun to gradually grow larger. It has gradually become crowded in the whole cave. It can be said that its current form is exactly the same as Nagato Master's Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. Its last eye is about to open gradually. Gong Yi didn't know that at this moment, the body sealed on the moon, Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, suddenly trembled. It seemed to have a feeling, and it seemed to be unwilling. It may not know at all that there will be a second self in this world. But no one pays attention to this strangeness, and no one can detect the changes on the moon. Roar. When it belongs to Kyubi, 9 tails, Kurama, after its last roar. Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, whose last pupil has been opened. Sage mode, open. The 8 inner gates are open. In the state of sage mode, all around Gong Yi's body is full of blue steam belonging to the 7 inner gates. At this moment, his whole person has entered the strongest state. You can't be sloppy in dealing with this guy in front of you. Despite Gong Yi's confidence, these preparations must be done. In front of me is not ordinary things, it's 10 tails. Buzz, buzz. The moment Kyubi, 9 tails, disappears, the moment he opens his 9th eye. The entire cave of Nuoda has begun to collapse and shatter. No matter what kind of enchantment it is, it seems to have no effect. But, did not wait for Gong Yi to go to hand seal. But it instantly returned to plain, and did not go to crazy riots. It can be clearly felt that all the forces are suddenly restrained. When the mighty power reaches ultimate, will it be invisible? Gong Yi's handsome face showed a smile. In spite of such a situation, he didn't change any tension at all. Everything is still under Gong Yi's control. Next second. When Gong Yi's thoughts came to this, the previous Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, had completely changed. Although it does not have the huge figure in the original book, it can still be seen. It has completely transformed, and the body that used to be like dead wood has completely disappeared. In its place is an extremely thin body, with only one huge pupil on a somewhat deformed head. Behind it is a dense, waving tail. There are 10 articles in total. To read the underlined version of the novel. Chapter 611. Arrangements for the 3rd step. Undergone rapid transformation. Brand new 10 tails, fully resurrected. Looking up at it, the appearance of 10 tails at this moment is completely different from the original impression. The smile on his face did not diminish. Gong Yi was not surprised. Instead, he was more joyful. Because this resurrected 10 tails is not the 10 tails he knew before. Fusion with 9-tailed beast chakra, the guide of 10 tails mutant chakra. Finally, in the fragment of Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, it has begun to automatically form new entities. Although there is no Tomo Rinnegan in the huge single pupil. But Gong Yi could feel it, it seemed stronger, and the power was purer. 10 tails in front of me, it is already growing in another direction. The 10 tails in the original book are a little thin and look sick. 10 tails in front of him were completely different and looked extremely strong. Obviously, without Tomo Rinnegan, it's fully enhanced in the rest of the way. Oh, not bad. Feeling the gradually receding power of 10 tails, Gong Yi is also ready to start. Now is this single individual. Gong Yi could call it the new 10 tails. The small 10 tails Jinchuriki column force project that was called before, has been completely overturned. Ho ho. When the new 10 tails are gradually sobering up, the surrounding mountains have begun to shake. which has been noisy all the time, seems to have stopped flowing. Everything in a radius of thousands of miles and hundreds of thousands of miles seems to have returned to peace. Now the state of the new 10 tails is enough to make the entire ninja continent tremble. Almost there. Just after Gong Yi finished speaking, he activated the Hiraishin technique. The art of banning the elephant inside the corpse. By the time it reappears, Gong Yi has come to the top of the new 10 tails. Both hands hand seal, complicated and complicated. But in Gong Yi's hands, it's surprisingly fast. After the seal was finished, Gong Yi took the next shot. Om! At this moment, the terrifying power of the seal suddenly erupted. They are like ferocious waves, completely wrapping the new 10 tails. It's not yet fully awake, but it's the best time for Gong Yi to seal it in his body. If you wait until it is completely completed, if you want to seal it again, although it will be successful, it will definitely not be easy. Taking advantage of this moment is the perfect moment for Gong Yi. Boom, boom, 10 sturdy giant tails, they swayed continuously, and began to collide with the surrounding enchantment. Although 10 tails is not fully awake, it is conscious. This earth-shattering attraction, constantly pulling it into Gong Yi's body, will naturally resist the new 10 tails. It is constantly resisting, and the whole body is constantly slamming against the barrier. However, it is now like the art of banning, which completely suppresses it. At the same time, Gong Yi sealed all the 9-tailed beast chakra once before. One is for the good absorption of Gedo Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, thereby speeding up the speed. 22. Press. It's for now. When the banishing technique of the elephant was used by Gong Yi, now the 9-tailed beast chakra fused in 10 tails, body. They are like the art of banning, but Gong Yi also hasn't unlocked them. At this moment, a chain reaction began to continuously squeeze the new 10 tails. It wants to explode its power, but no matter what, Izumi, the source of all this, is now sealed by Gong Yi. Without completely taming it, Gong Yi will not unlock all these seals. Be honest and be my strength. Seal. Looking at the struggling new 10 tails in front of him, Gong Yi's face. Apparently, deal with the new 10 tails in front of you, though it's not fully awake yet. But it's not easy either. With Gong Yi's words falling, the power of the banning technique has exploded to ultimate. At this time, it was as if an invisible big hand completely grasped the new 10 tails. Immediately, it began to continuously pull its entire huge body downward. It can be seen with the naked eye, and it has begun to distort. At Gong Yi's navel, he could feel a stream of heat pouring in. In just a short while, the new 10 tails in front of him have completely collapsed, completely twisting his body and entering the center of Gong Yi's navel. Hate, rage, anger, depression, irritability. This series of various forces, constantly mixed. They began to explode in Gong Yi's body continuously. This is the power of 10 tails, which seems to have been suppressed for a long time. When it was completely resurrected in Gong Yi's body, Gong Yi could clearly feel that his body was like a small melting pot. Every blood vessel, every nerve, every corner of its body is filled with this power. An unspeakable force, they kept flowing, stimulating Gong Yi's whole body. Drink. Feel the body, as if it is about to be burst by force. Gong Yi runs the chakra in the body, with the help of the power of Sage Mode, and the Hashirama cells in the body are constantly suppressing this power. The current Sage Mode, it is a state that can use natural energy. Such a state, natural energy can be used to greatly increase physical activity to increase attack power and defense. Hashirama cells, on the other hand, have a strong recovery ability. Now with the use of several forces, Gong Yi's previous bad influence has completely disappeared. The violent and restless power in the body was gradually appeased and suppressed at the same time. They were completely attributed to the sealed space that Gong Yi left in the body. The new 10 tails wanted to use their own power to make Gong Yi go berserk and burst his body, but it was completely impossible to achieve. Now these problems, how could Gong Yi not think of some possible occurrences and some impossible occurrences, all of which have been predicted by Gong Yi? Now he is not in a mess, and some are proceeding in an orderly manner. When this power, it has gradually stabilized. The new 10 tails have now been completely sealed in the body by themselves. The second step, it's done. Gong Yi, who was sitting cross-legged, slowly opened his eyes. The entire cave of Nuoda is no longer swaying. Around, everything is not suppressed. At this moment, the entire ninja world seems to be slowly calming down. With 10 tails being sealed in Gong Yi's body, this strange feeling has completely disappeared. Okay, we can start the arrangement of the third step. Gong Yi smiled faintly, and his face gradually became firm. To do next is the last step. It is also the key to success and not failure. Well, that is to subdue the 10 tails. You can only use it if you have fully acquired its power. It's not enough just to seal it in the body. Chapter 612, The Ultimate Means. Enter the sealed space. Now this is a battle between consciousness. Gong Yi chose to seal 10 tails into his body first, instead of defeating them in reality. One is that I don't want this huge scene to expose my trump card. No one on the ninja continent can guess his true power. At the same time, as a 10 tails person Jinchuriki, column force, it is naturally one of Gong Yi's ultimate means. Now if it's just starting, it's just a joke if it's exposed. Akatsuki is known now, his follow-up plans are basically ruined. Second is to seal the 10 tails in the body, and it can also gain its power more quickly. Well, this method is much better than the conventional method of subduing tailed beasts. Put it bluntly, what Gong Yi wants to do is very simple. Move his chakra close to 10 tails, chakra to form a saw, then use his own chakra to capture 10 tails, chakra, and finally put it the power in the body is stripped and used for the body. Chakra can only be caught with chakra, this is common sense. So you must use the seal of 10 tails into your body to snatch chakra from 10 tails. All in all, the chakra competition is like a tug of war. If the 10 tails win, it will absorb all of its chakra in reverse. If you fail, you will die completely. However, if you win by yourself, then you can fully gain the full power of the 10 tails. There will be no more enemies in the entire ninja world. Stakes are indeed high, but as long as they succeed, the power of the 10 tails will be used for their entire lives. That's enough. As for 10 tails it succumbs or not, it doesn't matter to Gong Yi at all. What Gong Yi needs is its strength, not its allegiance. He has acquired its power by himself, and naturally there is a way to tame it completely. That's what happened after that. Now Gong Yi is all about getting the chakra of 10 tails. Boom, boom, the violent and amazing power is madly venting in the sealed space. Now 10 tails, it's roaring furiously. However, at this moment, it was completely imprisoned in a tall prison. Unlike ordinary seals, this towering prison now has the function of absorbing chakra. Every time a 10 tails bombards it, it weakens it by 1%. However, as chakra's endless 10 tails, it is as good as ever in an instant. It's enough to drive him mad, even if he keeps repeating it like this. Because with this pure and savage power, it is impossible to break through this sealed prison of Gong Yi. The current 10 tails, it's completely crazy, it's a completely unconscious tailed beast at the moment. Only no killing, only no endless devouring. It kept roaring, and now the 10 giant tails behind its strong body kept swaying. When Gong Yi came in front of it, 10 tails had a hideous look on his face, and he wanted to kill him completely. It's a delightful power. Standing quietly in front of the huge sealed prison, Gong Yi smiled indifferently. Feeling that the present Tao belongs to 10 quantities, Gong Yi does not tremble at all. The stronger the 10 tails, the better for him naturally. The power of terror, despite the existence of a seal, still cannot stop its spread. Now even Gong Yi feels as if there is an invisible mountain pressing down on his back. The power of 10 tails seems to be the ultimate symbol of the entire ninja world. Especially now, it seems that the aggregate of all hatred is the condensation of all bad forces. Under the irritable and unreasonable power, this pressure alone is enough to drive everyone crazy. It's time to start. Gong Yi held the hand seal with both hands and pressed towards the towering prison in front of him. A clearly visible seal on it is slowly breaking down at this moment. Boom! When the seal expired, a loud noise came. The tail behind 10 tails rushed out frantically, and the huge prison door was pushed open and flew to both sides. The fully recovered 10 tails, its huge stature strode out. Now it is as tall as a suffocating giant. Gong Yi stood below, as small as an ant. 10 tails in full state are now in their heyday. Mokuden, wood style, wood golem jutsu. Gong Yi didn't stop hand seal after releasing 10 tails. The chakra in the body is madly cathartic. Although it is not as endless as the tailed beast, it is also extremely powerful. Shoot down to the ground. Pieces of trees, they suddenly burst out of the ground. The rumbling sound continued, and the flat ground began to crumble. Countless trees began to intertwine with each other rapidly, and then began to condense and grow. In the blink of an eye, before the attack of 10 tails fell, a huge wooden man appeared in front of it. Its size is also not inferior to the current 10 tails, and it is almost the same as its. On the huge figure, Gong Yi has come to the top of its head. This is one of the top Mokuden, wood-style, ninjutsu that Senju Hashirama is best at. Original book, its combat power and size are comparable to the complete Susanoo. You can catch the tailed beast bomb with one hand, and it also has a good suppressing effect on the tailed beast. Seeing the appearance of the wooden giant, 10 tails did not stop his attack. Now it follows its instinct, and there is nothing to make it feel afraid. The 10 tails behind them, they skyrocketed wildly, and swept towards Gong Yi. With the whistling sound of the wind, it released a fierce sound of breaking the air. Now they are like the chains of heaven, making people terrified. If you are contaminated a little by them, you are afraid that your limbs will be separated immediately, and the dead will not die. Almost in the blink of an eye. 10 huge tails, so numerous that there is nowhere to hide. Seeing 10 tails, desperate enough offensive, Gong Yi didn't show panic. With both hands in Indian pose, now the wooden giant begins to move. The majestic figure is not inferior to 10 tails, and its huge arms are raised at this time. A golden light burst out, illuminating the surrounding sealed space. The ferocious face of 10 tails is reflected in golden yellow. At the moment when the 10 tails fell, the long sword condensed by Jin Dun's illusion was held in the hands of the wooden giant. Swipe forward. There is a roar, like an unstoppable explosion. Can be vaguely felt that the surrounding space seems to be split open. The counterattack starts now. Of course, Gong Yi can't just sit still and wait for 10 tails to counterattack himself. To fully absorb the 10 tails chakra at the moment, then let it reach a weak state. Therefore, this battle is essential. NLT, and GT. Chapter 613. Senpo, Sage Art. With the pained roar of 10 tails, the golden escaping sword in the hands of the wooden giant had cut off its 10 tails neatly. Loud rumblings continued to be heard, and 10 tails, docked tails kept falling, smashing the ground out of the deep pit. If it is normal strength now, it may not be able to compete with 10 tails, sturdy flesh. But, now that it is facing Gong Yi's Jin Dun, it is completely different. The terrifying Jin Dun power cut off its tail without any hindrance. It's true that 10 tails is strong, but now it is still difficult to stop the power of Jin Dun. The Hokage-style ear-straightening surgery burrows into the air. Without waiting for 10 tails to fight back, Gong Yi is now standing on the top of the towering wooden giant. He's here to hand seal, and is now ready to take full control of the 10 tails in one go. This move is very powerful, and it is completely used to suppress the ability of the tailed beast. For 10 Tails, Gong Yi has a lot of preparations. Countless secrets to learn. At the moment when the golden dun long sword collapsed, the wooden giant raised his hand and pressed it towards 10 Tails. It can be clearly seen that there is now a seat in the center of its palm. Word. Mokuden wood-style wood dragon jutsu is a large composite ninjutsu, which is now continuously used by Gong Yi. Mokuden wood-style naturally has the effect of suppressing tailed beasts. Now against 10 Tails, it still works perfectly. One trick to eat all over the sky, and now after the perfect fusion of gradual cells. This is the first time that Gong Yi has used Mokuden wood-style large-scale ninjutsu in a row like this. Hula. The seeds that pass the chakra to the tree, and now the back of the Mokuden wood-style giant starts surging. Next second. A Mokuden wood-style dragon, immediately from the Mokuden wood-style giant. Separated and rushed out, roaring at the 10 Tails. It is also huge, with a length of hundreds of meters. When it appears full of thorns, it completely wraps 10 Tails. Immediately, it also began to continuously absorb chakra from 10 Tails. And just when 10 Tails hadn't reacted, the Mokuden wood-style giant's palm also pressed on it. Roar. A crazy and violent roar. This moment is deafening. Even the entire sealed space, it will open the Shikai body and collapse. The screams of 10 Tails kept echoing, and its pure black eyes were now bloodshot. Obviously, Gong Yi just hurt it very much. However, these two Mokuden wood-style are all used to suppress it. Now 10 Tails have been unable to recover for a while, and are now completely suppressed here. It can't even get rid of the Mokuden wood-style dragon. Okay, let's finish it now. Gong Yi activated the technique of Hiraishin and came under him. The irascible 10 Tails have begun to quiet down, and the power of Mokuden wood-style is overpowering it. The current 10 Tails have no consciousness at all, and the other 9-tailed beasts are actually easier to control. Because it doesn't think, it just acts according to the killing in consciousness. Mokuden wood-style wooden clones. 4 Mokuden wood-style clones will appear as soon as they appear. Dodge to the 444 corners of 10 Tails. With a thought, there is no nonsense at all. Ninja 4 Scarlet Sun formation. Buzz buzz. 4 orangutan Yuhi-colored rays of light shone out. They quickly formed a tall barrier, completely imprisoning the 10 Tails inside. Triple confinement and perfect suppression make it impossible for 10 Tails to have a chance at all. Gong Yi pursues perfection, and now the entire plan has been meticulously completed according to his vision. 4 Scarlet Sun formation, it can restrict the movement of the opponent, its power is super powerful, dozens of times stronger than 4 Purple Flame formation, it cannot be activated without 4 cage-level ninjas. But now Gong Yi's wooden avatars all have cage-level chakra energy, so they can still be activated. Is no need to seek others now, Gong Yi just can be used perfectly. Everything is ready. Gong Yi's handsome face outlines a smile. Senpo, Sage Art Gate of the Great God. Boom, 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 boom. With the completion of the Gong Yi hand seal, Yuhi-colored gates began to descend above 10 Tails' heads. They are like the traditional buildings of the dwarf country, consisting of 1 horizontal and 2 vertical circular Jinchuriki column. When the Yuhi-colored gates fell down, 10 tails that had just grown began to be stuck on the ground one by one, directly imprisoned. Seal 10. Head. The sound of bang 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 kept appearing, and the 10 tails were all pressed under the door almost instantly. And its ferocious huge head was also imprisoned there by the Yuhi-colored gate. A short blink of an eye, it was completely lying on the ground, like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Senpo, Sage Art Shian Ming Men, its function is very simple. It is pressed on the body of the tailed beast and can seal its chakra in a short time. But the effect is single, but its effect is very terrifying. The Gate of Gods, it is a secret technique that is not recorded in the Book of Seals. This is what Gong Yi used to use Hokage's power before, and finally got it. When Gongyi wanted to become the Ten Tails Jinchuriki column force, he was already collecting such super secret spells. Although some people do not know its existence, Gongyi can clearly remember it. In the original book, Senju Hashirama used this technique to suppress the actions of Ten Tails, and the effect was very significant. Now, as if Chakra doesn't want money, he continues to strengthen the confinement and enchantment. Regardless of the 10 tails, he probably never thought that he would be treated like this on the first day of his resurrection. At this moment it didn't resist as fiercely as before. Apparently, the current 10 tails are starting to get a little weak. It's started. Without further ado, Gong Yi now. One-handed printing. Behind him, a spirit body that looks exactly like Gong Yi suddenly appeared. When he appeared, it was immediately. Grab it towards 10 tails lying on the ground. Roar. It seems that he has already felt threatened, and the irritable 10 tails roared again. Its eyes are bloodshot, and now it seems that it wants to slash Gong Yi in 1,000 pieces. Gong Yi is constantly depriving him of the chakra that is absorbing it, and the 10 tails are fully aware even if they are not conscious. Especially this skill, now Gong Yi's spirit body, it has begun to pull a blue energy out of 10 tails' body. The chakra of 10 tails is also the source of its power, Izumi. It seems like a tug of war, and now 10 tails are constantly trying to resist, constantly pulling this blue power back towards their body. However, it is a little weak at the moment, and it is completely imprisoned, and the real effect is not great. On the contrary, the power of each path was continuously pulled in front of him by Gong Yi's spiritual body. Success. When I feel these warm currents rushing through my body now. A smile appeared on Gong Yi's indifferent face. The power of 10 tails, I finally got it. Filu reminds you. An LT, otherwise it will be banned. Chapter 624. A Fae and Itachi. Within the land of the land. With the scarcity of the jungle, the mountain wind here is constantly howling. The flat earth all around is full of steep towering rocks. Actually came out alive in the village of Iwagakure. Not bad, this is really good. The mask-off Fae carried the 5-tailed Jinchuriki column Lihan, and whistled excitedly. The air outside really smells better. What do you mean, Itachi-senpai? Mask-off Fae said. He turned his head to look at Uchiha Itachi. But I really didn't expect that Itachi-senpai. Your strength is so strong, that this person Jinchuriki column has no power to fight back, so we will directly capture you. Back. Well, it seems that partnering with Itachi-senpai now is the safest choice. As if talking to himself, a Fae the mask nodded. Walking beside the masked Fae, Uchiha Itachi didn't say a word at all. His handsome face was full of expressionless expressions. With a light use of the corner of the eye, he glanced at Fae who was still chattering here. On Uchiha Itachi's face, there was more fear and vigilance. He knew that this guy with a mask was definitely not an ordinary existence. Especially before, on Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, when Gong Yi used to take away the power of Jinchuriki column. This guy next to him who looked a little idiot, the killing intent that rippled out of his body at that moment was absolutely impossible for ordinary ninjas to possess. Thinking about it, now he seems like ninjutsu and physical attacks, both of which are useless space ninjutsu for him. Normal ninjas are simply out of reach. Although Fae's Sharingan is well hidden, Uchiha Itachi has begun to doubt in his heart. Now this guy, he is definitely not as simple as he imagined, maybe his identity is more complicated. After all, that guy Pain, he couldn't possibly find some useless people. There is no normal guy in Akatsuki. And now the masked man next to him, since Pain placed him next to him. Then it is very likely that he is related to the Akatsuki leader, and should be said to be a faction. Although Uchiha Itachi does not have the ability of a prophet, but with his careful thinking, he can think of a lot in an instant. But these are not important anymore, and now Uchiha Itachi doesn't care too much about these. Because the disease in his body has begun to get more and more serious, he is more concerned about Sasuke. A while ago, Gongyi had informed him, and now Sasuke has gone to look for him. It is because of this news that Uchiha Itachi will stay in the land of the land forever. Otherwise, with his ability, he can always do this useless investigation. The source of all this was that Uchiha Itachi went to wait for Sasuke. He's running out of time, and Sasuke's urgency too. Itachi. So, he knew that the days could not be wasted any longer. Otherwise, your plan will most likely not be implemented, and you will die. This is Uchiha Itachi, he absolutely cannot accept it. Walking was still slow. Now Uchiha Itachi is looking forward with a pair of eyes, his mind is constantly thinking. And Afe saw that Uchiha Itachi ignored him, he also shrugged and kept talking to the air. Obviously, along the way, he couldn't be quiet at all. At the same time, the border of the land. The whirring of the wind continued to linger. On the horizon in the distance, you can see that 4 people are walking slowly. Sasuke, now we're going there. Ghost Light Shueyu looked at Sasuke who was walking in front, he seemed a little unhappy and said, "Didn't you promise to help me find the beheading sword?" As if feeling the dissatisfaction of the ghost lamp Shueyu, Sasuke stopped. He slowly turned around, looked at the 3 people in front of him, and said lightly, "It's almost there. Since I've gathered all of you, then I'll tell you my purpose in the future. It's something simple, but possibly difficult, to bring back Uchiha Itachi in Akatsuki." Ha! Uchiha Itachi. Guideng Shueyu looked stunned for a moment, and said slowly, "Isn't that Sasuke your own brother?" "Yes, there are some misunderstandings, and that's why I want to bring him back to Konoha village. And when I found you, I just wanted to use your strength to help me in my next move." Sasuke nodded, this time he didn't ignore the ghost lights and water moon, but glanced at the 3 of them. "Of course, this is not mandatory, but it is entirely up to your personal wishes." "Shangrin, didn't you say something before?" With his eyes fixed on Shangrin in front of him, Sasuke said, "What do you think now?" "Ah, this, that." Hearing Sasuke being the first to ask himself, Shangrin was a little overwhelmed, and Yuhi's dizzy face reappeared involuntarily. "Actually, there is nothing else to do, let Sasuke finish your work first and then talk about it." "What, don't pretend to be here, I think you want one to be with Sasuke, right?" Ghost Deng Shueyu looked at Shangrin speechlessly, and complained aloud. "You bastard, stop talking nonsense. Enough Shueyu, what do you think now?" Seeing that Shangrin was about to quarrel with the ghost lamp Shueyu again, Sasuke immediately interrupted to ask him. "What can I think? I will stick to you until you find the beheading sword for me." Shrugging his shoulders, Ghost Light Shueyu said indifferently. Hearing this, Sasuke looked at the man standing next to the ghost lamp Shueyu and asked, "Chongo, what about you?" "I saw this man was tall and burly, with orange hair. He was the last member Sasuke looked for, Shigego. It is also the source of the Orochimaru spell that Gongyi once mentioned, and he is born with a guy who can absorb natural energy. I will always be by your side, this will naturally not change." Shigego didn't seem to have much to say, just answered Sasuke with certainty. "Well, if that's the case, then it's settled. I'll bring Itachi back first, and I'll do your business too." Hearing the answers of the 3 of them, Sasuke nodded, showing a trace of relief on his face. "I wasted so much time now, looking for the 3 people 3, obviously did not let myself down." Neither of them left, but instead promised to help themselves. At this moment, the entire team is officially formed. Then name it Eagle. Chapter 625. The long-lost meeting is also a permanent parting. Just after Sasuke and the others left, none of them noticed that on the rock wall not far behind, Juju slowly revealed a half-body. At this moment, he didn't speak, a pair of yellow eyes watched Sasuke and the others walk away, and then he left here. Senior Itachi, what do you think we will do next? Akatsuki's next goal, what do you think it will be? Carrying the power of Jinchuriki column, is still talking to Uchiha Itachi next to him. Why do you always collect tailed beasts now? I really don't understand. Uchiha Itachi didn't answer, listening to the endless conversation of Afe. He stood quietly in front, thinking about Sasuke in his mind. Gongyi had already informed him that he would be sent to Sasuke to come here. So, now Uchiha Itachi knows, when the two brothers meet. Perhaps it should be said. It's a long-lost meeting and a permanent farewell. For death, although everyone is very afraid. But now Uchiha Itachi has come to his senses. For his younger brother Sasuke, his sacrifice was totally worth it. After all, he is terminally ill and can no longer protect Sasuke, so he has a limited life. Sasuke can be better and stronger, so for Uchiha Itachi, it is a better thing. After so long, Uchiha Itachi has no idea what Sasuke has grown to. But with the continuous notification through Gongyi, he can actually have a general understanding. For Uchiha Itachi, Gongyi again didn't hide Sasuke's progress. Even when Sasuke was sent to Orochimaru's side, Gongyi told Itachi truthfully. But knowing this, Itachi didn't object too much, or was dissatisfied. What kind of person Gongyi was, Uchiha Itachi thought he knew very well. He would not risk his disciple's life so easily. Since he sent Sasuke to Orochimaru, he naturally had an idea. Uchiha Itachi still admires. Gongyi educates his disciples. The entire ninja continent, the Bones Kimimaro, Byakugan Hyuga Neji. These Konoha ninjas who have made a name for themselves. They just followed Gongyi's back and grew up slowly. These days, after hearing the news that Sasuke killed Orochimaru, Uchiha Itachi knew that his original decision was the most correct one. Now Sasuke, he has indeed grown a lot. However, as time goes by, that alone is not enough. And Orochimaru, in Itachi's eyes, is nothing at all. He is really worried about is. Akatsuki of Akatsuki Group has started to act now, although Uchiha Itachi completely guessed something. But the mighty Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, with the power of its tailed beast, and the majestic power that is about to revive within it. Even though it was Uchiha Itachi, he felt very scary. So now Uchiha Itachi knows that if Zuo wants to save his life in the future, he will naturally continue to become stronger. And Mangekyo Sharingan, and even the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, is the key to Sasuke becoming stronger now. As a member of the Uchiha family, Uchiha Itachi can clearly know how powerful this Sharingan is. Hey, Itachi-senpai, what are you thinking? Seeing Uchiha Itachi looking forward with lost eyes, Afe quickly walked to his side and shrugged. As soon as Afe's voice fell, Uchiha Itachi still didn't answer him, but stopped. Itachi, Fei. Front of the two, Ju was looking at them with a half-body on the ground. Ha, Mr. Ju. The nervous Afe waved towards Ju. Are you here to greet us? Seeing Afe's appearance, he definitely showed a somewhat helpless expression. He would look at Uchiha Itachi, even showing a hint of sympathy. Just imagine, having such a guy who keeps nagging in his ear all day long is enough to drive people crazy. Absolutely, what happened? Uchiha Itachi saw Ju's sudden appearance. He didn't go to nonsense, but asked. There is one thing. Ju nodded, didn't pay any attention to Afe, but looked at Itachi. Your younger brother Uchiha Sasuke. He has come here with 3 ninjas with special abilities. I think you will meet soon. Sasuke. Hearing Ju said this, Uchiha Itachi was not surprised. Now there are many clones, and he has been secretly monitoring the entire ninja continent. At the same time, he is also secretly monitoring himself these Akatsuki members. Since Sasuke is here, it is very difficult to escape the spy. For Sasuke, who is a little impatient, he was able to come so quickly, which was something Uchiha Itachi expected. It is estimated that he can't wait to find his revenge. Well, Gongyi told Sasuke about him, but Itachi doesn't know Akatsuki now. A while, Uchiha Itachi regained his senses and said slowly, I know, you should bring back the Jinchuriki column force first, I think I need to solve something. Ah, Itachi-senpai, then what am I going to do? Hearing Uchiha Itachi finish speaking, Afe hurriedly pushed the five-tailed Jinchuriki column force to the ground. This is a personal grudge between me and Sasuke. I want to ask you to help me stop those three people. At this time, Uchiha Itachi finally spoke to Afe. Is that the only way? Afe's pupils that were exposed alone, at this time inadvertently revealed their sharp edges, but they were almost immediately in the blink of an eye suppressed. That's the only way. Trouble you, Fei. As a big family, Uchiha Itachi naturally has a good self-cultivation. Although Afe behaved very idiot, he still gave enough respect. Said this, Uchiha Itachi looked at Ju and said, Ju, please take it back with you, Jinchuriki column force. Okay, I see. Nodding thoughtfully, he slowly rose out of the rocky ground. The Jinchuriki column force in his hand, Ju looked at the two of them and said lightly, then you have to be careful. Now Sasuke Uchiha has learned a lot from Hokage of the 5th generation. I think it will be very dangerous. After all, even that guy Orochimaru is also there all dead. Ah, Mr. Ju, don't worry. As soon as Ju's words fell, Afe waved his hand and said with a smile. Seeing Afe's appearance, Ju shrugged and walked away from here. Afe, now before you help me stop those three people, I want you to tell Sasuke too. Chapter 626. The biggest stumbling block. Tell Sasuke. Hearing Uchiha Itachi say half of it, Afe asked in confusion, tell Sasuke what? Please tell him that if he decides to die, come here to find me. Uchiha Itachi paused, then pointed to a dark cave ahead and said. In the current situation, Uchiha Itachi wanted to guide Sasuke to the former site of Uchiha. A quiet enough location there is the best place to return to your roots. But now it seems that things are not as they thought. Therefore, the current Uchiha Itachi did not think too much. The meeting of the two brothers was indeed very unexpected. Of course, for this last meeting, even though it was Uchiha Itachi, I don't know how to describe it. Although his face is enlightened, he is still more reluctant to give up to his younger brother. Okay, I know Itachi-senpai. Spreading his hands, Afe looked at Uchiha Itachi and said. Excuse me, Fei. Uchiha Itachi looked solemn and bowed his head slightly. Cough, Duin-T, don't do this. When Afe saw Uchiha Itachi like this, he was in a hurry. Leaving here. Senior Itachi, you are really polite, then I'll go over now. Now Afe seems to be simple-minded and a bit stupid. But in fact, at the moment when he dodged and left here, his face behind the mask changed instantly. It was a kind of indifference and suspicion. For things like, now, Mask Obito though doesn't know as much as Gongyi. But it can also be clearly felt that at this short time, either Uchiha Itachi can kill Sasuke and successfully obtain the power of the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Second, then Sasuke defeated Uchiha Itachi and successfully opened Mangekyo Sharingan. However, Afe is actually more inclined to the first idea. After all, the strengthening of Uchiha Itachi will have a good development for his future plans. But the second kind of words, thinking of this, his face showed murderous intent. Then, as a disciple of the 5 generations of Hokage, Uchiha Obito naturally would not choose to leave his life behind. His pawns to complete Gongyi's people, Uchiha Obito will not accept it. After all, the current Gongyi, in general terms, is his own enemy. Especially since he has destroyed his own plans several times before, Uchiha Obito has a deep hatred for him. If it weren't for the overall situation, Uchiha Obito would never let Gongyi go. He knew that Gong Yi was the biggest stumbling block in his plan. Therefore, what Gong Yi thought before was indeed not what he expected. At least Uchiha Obito knew that Sasuke couldn't keep it. On the flat ground, the wind whistled. In the realm of the land, there are mostly towering rocks in the area, and there is almost no transformation. However, such a situation also invisibly added a layer of natural danger to the land. That is easy to defend and difficult to attack. It has saved a lot of disasters for the country. At least they have the people of Iwagakure village, and with such a favorable time and place, it is really difficult to attack here. Sasuke, not far ahead of us, there are strange chakra fluctuations. When they were on their way, Shangrin, who was walking on the side, looked at Sasuke. He is coming towards us. Hearing Shangrin finish speaking, Sasuke immediately stopped. Chongo and Ghost Light Shueyu also did not speak, but looked forward. Shangrin has a strong sense of perception, and the three of them naturally know it clearly. Now along the way, Shangrin is also mostly acting as a perception ninja. She said that someone is coming in front of her, so she will definitely not be wrong. Sure enough, when the four of them stopped, a figure in front of them flashed over. He wears an orange mask on his face and wears a black robe with yuhi-colored auspicious clouds embroidered on it. It was Fei who just left at Uchiha Itachi. "Hi, how are you?" Fei stood in front of everyone, waved his hand and looked at Sasuke. "You must be Sasuke in Itachi's mouth." "It's Akatsuki's man." Shangrin's face was not good, and her whole body was tense. The faces of Chongo and Gaidong Shueyu also showed gloom, and they looked like they were ready to attack at any time. "Well, don't be like this, I'm just a newcomer to Akatsuki, that's all." Three of them looked like they were facing a big enemy, so Fei immediately taking 2 steps back, he said with an embarrassed smile. "What is he kidding?" Seeing Fei's appearance, his face was still there just now, serious Ghost Lamp Shueyu, immediately showing a foolish look. "Is this guy here, pretending to be with us? That's what weird guy Akatsuki is." Hearing Gaidong Shueyu's complaints, Shangrin also showed a somewhat speechless look. "Oh, do you underestimate me like this? Don't get in our way." The long knife on Gaidong Shueyu's waist instantly pulled out and slashed directly towards Fei. The blink of an eye, he flashed and came to Fei's eyes. Without showing any mercy at all, the long knife in Gaidong Shueyu's hand has been swung down. Boom! With the loud noise, Gaidong Shueyu's face showed horror. "What's the situation?" Shangrin and Shigego also showed surprise, and even Sasuke's pupils dilated and contracted. The attack of Ghost Light Shueyu just now actually penetrated the body of this Akatsuki member as if his entire body was transparent, completely immune to Ghost Light Shueyu's physical attack. "What are you doing is testing my strength." Seeing the Ghost Lamp Shueyu couldn't help but attack him directly, Fei scratched his head and seemed not to be angry at all. He was still here, pointed to himself and said with a smile, "Then as a newcomer to Akatsuki, my performance seems to be pretty good." At this moment, Fei seems to want the 4 people in front of him to praise him. "Enough, Uchiha Itachi, where is he now?" Sasuke's expression was indifferent, and his pair of black pupils became Yuhi the gorilla, and the third Tomo turned slowly. As expected of the younger brother of Itachi-senpai. Fei looked at Sasuke Uchiha, and he complained a little, even the personalities are very similar. "Stop talking nonsense. Sasuke's grass pheasant sword is about to be pulled out at the moment. He has no time to waste with this guy here." "Okay, alright, Senior Itachi said that if you're ready to die, go find him somewhere." Seeing that Sasuke was about to start, Fei hurriedly pointed to the back. "You can clearly see where is the location of a rocky cliff." Chapter 627. Hidan's Test. "Let's go." Hearing Fei finish speaking, Sasuke immediately dodged and came behind him. After Gong Yi already knew these things, he wasn't annoyed by Afei's words. Even hearing this now, it's a little funny for Sasuke. After all, Itachi may not know yet, but Gongyi teacher has already told him about it. For his brother who has not seen each other for a long time, Uchiha Sasuke is also quite complicated. Wait a minute, he can go over, but you can't. When Afei's voice came, Sasuke Yuguang saw Afei behind him blocking the ghost lights and Shueyu. At this moment, he looked at the three people of Gaidong Shueyu seriously and said, "Now Senior Itachi has said that he can only let his younger brother go to die. And you, if you don't want to die now, it's better not to be in the past." "What did you say?" Hearing Afei's words, Shangrin's expression immediately became a little annoyed. "You bastard, you're not here to tease me." Gaidong Shueyu and Changwu here, their expressions are also serious. Obviously Afei has touched their bottom line a bit. "Come back to me after you kill him." Sasuke retracted his eyes and said coldly, the whole person immediately flashed away. Now such things are small, and there is only one thing in Sasuke's mind that is big. That is to quickly meet Uchiha Itachi and bring him back to Konoha village. As for Shangrin, Sasuke is not worried. Sasuke still has so much confidence in the strength of the three of them. Deal with an Akatsuki member, although his ability is a bit weird, it shouldn't be a big problem to save his life. Thinking of this, his entire body is faster, and he dodges towards the position of the rocky cliff in front of him. A few hours ago, inside Konoha village, when Sasuke entered the land of the land, Yamato has come to Hokage's office. "Lord Hokage, Sasuke and his party have entered the land of the land, and now they will meet Uchiha Itachi." In recent days, the ninja continent has been tense, and Yamato did not take Naruto and the others on the mission. So now he was sent by Gongyi to monitor Sasuke. After all, Yamato owns Mokuden wood style and is also very good at some survey monitoring. At the same time, because of his ability, he can also perfectly avoid being there. After all, if he wanted to hide, he would never have discovered Yamato's existence inadvertently. Has entered the land of the land. Still, Gongyi, who was reviewing the document, raised his head, and the whole person was a little surprised. "It's so fast." "Well." Yamato nodded in response to Gongyi. After he was sent to the other three Orochimaru's subordinates, he went directly to the land of the land. Apparently, Yamato has been monitoring Sasuke since Gongyi already had it. "I see, now there is no need to monitor Sasuke, you go back and have a good rest." Hearing that and nodded, Gongyi looked at Yamato and said, "I'll go over and see for myself." "Understood, Hokage-sama." Yamato nodded, showing no expression. Gongyi didn't tell Yamato what happened on Sasuke's side. He was also simply monitoring and didn't know what Gongyi wanted to do. Now that the mission is over, Yamato didn't ask any more questions. Blink of an eye, just after Yamato left here, Gongyi, who was sitting here, had deep eyes. When he felt that there were no chakra fluctuations around, he immediately it turned into a puff of white smoke. Obviously, Gongyi, who is sitting here working now, is not the ontology. The leader of the palace, in the laboratory. Really Gongyi, he is sitting here, carefully studying a human limb. It can be clearly seen that this limb is now separated by Gongyi not. Now his face is serious and he is watching very carefully. Next second. Feeling something, a faint smile appeared on Gongyi's face. Has it started already? Just now, he has received the memory from the clone in Hokage's office. Yamato's report, as the ontology, Gongyi, is already well known. The experiment on Hidan's side is still a bit difficult. Then let's settle the matter on Sasuke's side first, and then talk about the later. Think about it. Gongyi put down the experiment in his hand and simply sealed it all in the scroll. My spare time these few days, Gongyi is studying Hidan's body here. Been busy with 10 Tails before, Hidan was naturally forgotten by him here. But while Akatsuki was preparing, Gongyi also hurried up to study. But unfortunately, Hidan's body is really amazing now, and Gongyi's results in just a few days have not made much progress at all. I haven't researched anything useful at all, and I'm still almost at a loss. However, it is impossible to say that there is no receipt, but it is very small. That is, Gongyi felt a mysterious power in Hidan's body. He now guesses that this mysterious power should be the secret that supports Hidan's immortality. Although it has not been researched yet, this is indeed a small breakthrough. When things are over on Sasuke's side, you can continue to study. As long as the immortal body of Hidan can succeed, then copying it is simply. I can't imagine how much benefit it will bring to myself. Suppressing his thoughts, Gongyi immediately the Hiraishin technique and leave the palace. Compared with Hidan's affairs, Sasuke is more important here. Anyway, Hidan is now sealed in Konoha by himself, ready to study at any time. But if Sasuke is killed by Uchiha Obito, he will lose a lot. I completely lost a super combat power, which is very distressing. In order to prevent some kind of accident, Gongyi naturally had to go and see it in person. Several Hiraishin spells, Gongyi has come to the border of the Fire Nation. Unknowingly, as time passed, the entire territory of the Fire Nation had already been filled with Hiraishin's spells by Gongyi. Now almost a thought, anywhere in the entire Fire Country, I can reach it in the blink of an eye. While improving efficiency, it can also perfectly solve any unexpected events that may occur. I have to say that Hiraishin's technique is still a very useful secret technique without entering the 6 paths mode. The land of earth and the land of fire are not close to each other. Now they are still separated by Takian village, which is already the land of rain. If you want to enter the land, you must go directly across one of the three positions. However, it didn't take much effort for Gongyi. He had left a lot of stamps in the land of grass before. Hiraishin's art is activated again. In a few breaths, he has seen the iconic towering rock wall on the border of the land. Chapter 628. Two Brothers. The realm of the land. Looking around, the rocks here are endless, like a labyrinth formed by rubble. After Sasuke dodged and came here, he immediately. You can feel the power of a chakra. That's from Uchiha Itachi. Sasuke locked onto his spot almost instantly, the only cave in the rocky cliffs. This huge rock cave is like a naturally formed hill. Sasuke dodged away, immediately. Entered inside. The cave is so dark that it is difficult to see the surrounding environment. But for Sasuke at the moment, all the external factors here are nothing at all. Yuhi's 3 Tomo Sharingan slowly turned, as if they could clearly see this huge rock hole. Are you here, Sasuke? When Sasuke came to the end, he saw a person standing quietly in front of him. Is it a weasel? Sasuke stopped, looked at the person hiding in the dark and said coldly. It's me. Step out in the dark, visible with the help of a little dim light. Uchiha Itachi, he was looking at himself indifferently. The moment Uchiha Itachi appeared, Sasuke's face didn't change. Looks like you've grown a lot, Sasuke. Without caring too much, Uchiha Itachi looked at Sasuke and said slowly. You haven't changed at all. Well, especially those cold eyes. Sasuke looked at Itachi, and did not have the ill will that he wanted to kill him in the first place. You have indeed changed a lot. Uchiha Itachi showed a rare smile, looked at Sasuke and continued, in the beginning, you only yelled and rushed over very frantically. You still don't know me well enough, Itachi. Is that so? To see through something, Uchiha Itachi closed his eyes and shook his head. It seems that the 5th generation of Hokage told you something. Itachi, you really underestimate me now. An indifferent voice appeared again, from behind Uchiha Itachi. I didn't know when Sasuke actually came here. The Chidori sharp spear of Raiden Thunder style, chakra condensed. It appeared immediately and pierced Uchiha Itachi directly. The sound of sizzling echoed around, and the blue light of thunder and lightning brightened the entire dark cave. Now that you've found it. Then tell me, now that you are suffering so much, you want to show off. When the hole penetrated Uchiha Itachi's body, Uchiha Sasuke's face became even colder. Although he no longer has unforgettable hatred, he is still very dissatisfied with Uchiha Itachi. Looking back at the beginning, if it wasn't for the fact that my teacher told me this, it was an unspeakable feeling when Uchiha Itachi wanted to deceive himself, and the anger in Uchiha Sasuke's heart still did not collapse. Now all that you have, all of this. Sad thing, don't you think it's funny? Uchiha Sasuke's Sharingan turned again, the blue light in his hand skyrocketed, like a spear like Chidori sharp spear, immediately exploding. Their power completely shatters Uchiha Itachi's body. Sure enough, you already know everything. When Uchiha Itachi's mutilated body fell to the ground, the same indifferent voice from the other side came out faintly. I saw that Uchiha Itachi didn't know when. He was sitting on a raised rock quietly watching Sasuke. That pair of three, Tomo Sharingan, seems to have seen through everything. Corpse disintegrated and turned into countless black crows. Uchiha Itachi shook his head. You are indeed stronger now, but what you have experienced is still too little. Sasuke, how far can your Sharingan see? Quietly looking at Sasuke in front of him, Uchiha Itachi seemed to look at him with deep meaning, as if telling him something from the side, as if asking him, wanting to get an answer. You're asking me, how far can I see? Turning around, Sasuke was not surprised when he saw that Uchiha Itachi was not killed by his sneak attack. With a smile on his face, he looked at Uchiha Itachi and said, then I'll tell you, what I see now in my eyes is the future after you. The future after me. Hearing Sasuke's answer, Uchiha Itachi's face was still expressionless and did not move. He naturally knew that, looking at Sasuke's appearance now, Gung-Yi should have shown him the letters he left. Only in this case, Sasuke seems to be able to stand here and have a conversation with himself. At the same time, now Uchiha Itachi can also know, it seems that Sasuke is still very dissatisfied after knowing the truth. Are you blaming me for deceiving him? Inwardly, he had already read Sasuke's thoughts. PFF'd. The sharp grass pheasant sword pierced his chest with a cold glow. Sasuke, who was standing in front, looked at it lightly, and Itachi was completely pierced now. I don't know when, Sasuke's clone has come behind him again. Uchiha Itachi in front of him has been killed. Sasuke is still not moved at all. Itachi, now I will finally give you a chance to save everything. Saving all chances. Voice appeared again, echoing around. As if he could never be killed, Itachi walked on his corpse. Get out next to it. Yes, now your last choice is to follow me back to Konoha village. When Sasuke saw Itachi walking out, he said in a deep voice, only by going back now can everything be redeemed and forgiven. Back to Konoha village with you. A terrifying chakra power suddenly erupted. Sasuke only felt a flash in front of his eyes. Itachi has come to his side, my stupid brother. A flick of his sleeve, kunai immediately. Holding it in his hand, Itachi stabbed Sasuke in front of him. Do you think with my current strength, you can persuade me to return to Konoha village? Damn. Seeing Itachi's shot, Sasuke bit Kiba immediately. Sideways to dodge, and the grass pheasant sword around his waist was immediately caught by him. Pull it out. Block it in front of you. A bang, the sharp thorn of kunai in Itachi's hand just touched the blade of the grass pheasant sword. Itachi, let's see if I really have the strength to bring you back to Konoha village. Immediately. Exploding back, the grass pheasant sword in his hand was not retracted, and Sasuke waved his backhand directly towards Uchiha Itachi. Seeing this series of counterattacks, Uchiha Itachi's pair of bloody eyes widened and contracted, and instead of retreating, he advanced directly to meet him. The battle between the two is on the verge of breaking out. NGT. Chapter 629. Reality and Illusion First. Oh. After a few dodges, Gong Yi came to a commanding height. Although there was only the sound of the howling wind and a lot of rocks in front of him. But at this moment, Gong Yi's eyes are deep, and he murmurs alone, "Has it started already?" As soon as he came to the land of Earth, Gong Yi's terrifying sense of consciousness spread in an all-round way. The terrifying consciousness can clearly perceive everything that is happening all around. The masked Obito, who is not far from him, seems to be entangled with the ghost lights, water and moon trio 3. And not far behind him, Gong Yi can clearly perceive the chakra fluctuations of Uchiha Itachi and Sasuke. This somewhat dramatic situation shows that now the two have begun to fight. It seems that this time, it's a little early. Gong Yi shook his head, the whole person immediately disappeared in place. When he reappeared, he was already behind the masked Obito. As long as you take a few steps forward, you can really see the battle between Sasuke and Itachi. But Gong Yi didn't do that, and the reason why he's here now is just, I want to see how Sasuke has grown. After so much training, I have stayed by Orochimaru's side for so long. Sasuke's growth should actually be beyond Gong Yi's expectations. After all, in a short time, Gong Yi feels that Sasuke is good enough. In the field. Chidori current. The sound of Zizi Chi-Chi appeared again, filling the entire cave. A sharp, noisy sound, as if 1,001 birds were chirping. Sasuke's hands burst out with crackling lightning, and he was staring at Uchiha Itachi in front of him. Now the battle between the two is still going on, and the arrival of Gong Yi has not been found at all. No matter where the battlefield is, no one can notice the sudden appearance of Gong Yi. Even Uchiha Obito, he didn't even notice, he was being watched for a long time just now. Dodging and approaching, Sasuke descended in front of Uchiha Itachi with thunder and lightning. Seeing this violent force bombarded, Uchiha Itachi did not choose to resist. He immediately dodged towards the top. However, just after he left here, a pair of Sharingan looked forward with a sense of feeling. I don't know when, Sasuke was hanging upside down on the top of the cave with a grass pheasant sword. Hee. With a sneer on his face, Sasuke immediately turning around, when Uchiha Itachi didn't react at all. The pheasant sword in his hand pierced his chest again. Instantly fell to the ground. Sasuke clenched the grass pheasant sword in his hands and looked at Itachi, who was spitting out Yuhi's blood. Go back to Konoha village with me to atone for your sins. Sasuke, you seem to surprise me a bit. Lying on the ground, Uchiha Itachi looked at Sasuke with blurry eyes, as if powerless. But this time, he didn't talk much, but stretched out his hand to point to another place with difficulty. Looking at the position he pointed to, the current Uchiha Itachi is still sitting there. It was the place where the two fought before, as if he had never moved at all. Pulling out the grass pheasant sword in his hand, Sasuke snorted coldly, Itachi, I must bring you to Konoha village now, and then kill those Akatsuki guys. Sasuke, my brother. Sitting there quietly, Itachi's icy face showed a somewhat sarcastic look. Everyone relies on their own knowledge, but is bound by it, and calls these reality, but knowledge and knowledge are a very ambiguous thing, that reality may just be an illusion. People live in self-consciousness, don't you think? What you think now is just what you think. My will, but it's impossible to act according to your thoughts. Uchiha Itachi stood up slowly, he looked at Sasuke and said lightly. Then what is your will? Sasuke looked at Itachi, bit Kiba and said coldly, but for me, it doesn't matter whether you say it or not. Because I will knock you down and bring you back to Konoha village. Knock me down and bring me back to Konoha village. Uchiha Itachi smiled. You are still arrogant as always, but let me remember this sentence for now. All your little tricks, I can accompany you to the end, come on Itachi. With the grass pheasant sword in his hand in front of him, Sasuke's Sharingan burst into a strange divine light at this time. It's a skill to be brave, but Sasuke, you don't seem to have the same eyes as me. Just relying on who you are now will only become a stepping stone for me to become stronger. At this time, the three Tomo Sharingan of Yuhi, they slowly rotated and started to link, becoming a pattern of darts. Then use Mangekyo Sharingan and try to kill me. Uchiha Itachi in front of him, Sasuke did not have the slightest fear, and the chakra of the whole person began to emerge continuously. Now that he knew all this from Gong Yi, he vowed to bring Uchiha Itachi back to Konoha village. Sasuke, you are so confident. Step by step, walking towards Sasuke Uchiha, Itachi looked at Sasuke very calmly. Mangekyo Sharingan, these eyes are quite special. From the moment they are opened, they are going dark, and the more they are used, the more they are sealed. What exactly do you want to express? Sasuke bit Kiba, completely unaware of what Itachi wanted to express. That means my eyes will one day. It will lose its light. On Uchiha Itachi's indifferent face, he slowly showed a smile. It seems that you still don't know anything about Sharingan. Then let me tell you, just dig out your eyes and transplant them to me, then I can get the truly eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. With a ferocious look on his face, Uchiha Itachi started to laugh. The two of us are brothers, but they are just one part that can be replaced together, and you are the one now. You can make me stronger, let's go. The farther tool. So Sasuke, don't go back to Konoha village anymore and tell me ridiculous things. Now Uchiha Itachi already knows, since Sasuke knows what happened before. Then he can only change, and start to guide Sasuke with another thing. And Itachi knew that Gong Yi didn't fully inform him about Mangekyo Sharingan etc. things. That being the case, now Uchiha Itachi will simply reveal the evolution of these eyes. Chapter 630, Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Are you asking Sasuke some last thing? Standing quietly behind a rock, Gong Yi closed his eyes and felt everything around him. Itachi and Sasuke in the cave have not moved. But the chakra fluctuations are extremely fierce, and it is obvious that they are in a demonic illusion duel. No, to put it bluntly, it should be Uchiha Itachi who is telling Sasuke some secrets through demonic illusion. And the reason he did this is very simple. It was obviously to guard against the reconnaissance of black-white Zetsu. Now Gong Yi's consciousness is very terrifying. No one can escape his perception in this surrounding area. Just inside the cave, the chakra power of black-white Zetsu is now clearly engraved there. Obviously, Uchiha Itachi knew that too. With Itachi's prudence, he won't reveal any of his intentions easily now. 4. Gong Yi, Uchiha Itachi has always been there too, dikes everywhere. Of course, it is fortunate that Gong Yi knows this, so he holds Uchiha Sasuke tightly in Master's hands. Because of this, Gong Yi has no worries at all. Itachi will do things that are not good for him. At the same time, this is also Gong Yi. Why didn't he use his powerful divine sense to invade the fantasy world of the two? Because Gong Yi has enough self-confidence, he knows that he completely understands Uchiha Itachi. His goal today is very simple, then he is to give Sasuke his pupil power and entrust him with these eyes. Now all of this, if you want to implement all of it perfectly, Uchiha Itachi knows that without him, it will definitely not work. Long before he came here, Uchiha Itachi found himself through crows. He has completely entrusted Sasuke to himself, and at the same time told himself the evolution of Sharingan in detail. And Uchiha Itachi wanted to ensure Sasuke's safety in order to prevent Afe. Without Gong Yi, it would be impossible to do so. Correspondingly, Sasuke is now in this dangerous ninja continent. If there is no such existence as Gong Yi, go and help him take care of his words. This pair of perfect eyes, it is difficult for Sasuke to protect. Akatsuki's side is the biggest threat, at least until he completely transforms into the eternal Mangekyo. Well, When Uchiha Itachi met with Sasuke, he also thought of everything after that. Because of this, Gongyi doesn't have any worries now. Itachi is on guard against Ju, not himself. At the same time, relying on Itachi's nature, he will only say things that are beneficial to himself. After all, he wouldn't be stupid enough to let Sasuke guard himself, so that the two of them would be a little bit estranged. Uchiha Itachi should still understand his own personality. Gongyi will never raise a tiger, and he will never raise a guy who guards himself. Once Sasuke has two hearts, with Gongyi's character, it is more likely that Sasuke will be released directly. So Itachi will not do such unintentional things, it will only screw up all his arrangements. Quietly staring at the cave on the side, Gongyi's eyes are deep and starry. He has already mastered everything, and no one can escape his palm now. This is absolute confidence. Now that you have successfully obtained the power of 10 tails, this confidence is getting stronger and stronger. Because in the entire ninja world, no one can threaten him anymore. Now Gongyi only needs to use the fourth ninja war to unify the entire ninja continent. The entire Hokage world means that you can clear perfectly. Of course, the reason for this has been calculated, rather than simply relying on force. This is the idea of Gongyi. Under the oppression of a powerful force will only get a greater rebound in the future. Just like Otsutsuki Kagaya, no matter how strong she is, she still cannot escape the end of being sealed. Although quite confident in his own strength, what Gongyi wants is the willing surrender of everyone. Only in this case, can oneself be able to rule the ninja continent in a more perfect and long-term manner in the future. Just like the current Konoha village, although his own strength shocked the ninja continent. But for the entire village, he is still under no coercive oppression. Instead, he used his own means to make the ninjas in Konoha village respect him, obey him, and even work for him. This is far better than using a powerful force to make them fear. At least in the entire Konoha village, he has begun to respond to a variety of calls. Even if he had voluntarily stated that he wanted to attack the other ninja Omura, most of the ninjas would respond without any hesitation. This is the difference. Gongyi doesn't like it. Some people do tricks behind their backs. Well, if that's the case, it doesn't make any sense at all. At the same time, just as Gongyi was thinking, in the dark cave, Black-White Zetsu slowly exposed his half-body on one of the rocks. What are these two brothers doing? Uchiha Itachi and Sasuke who were standing there, he was absolutely helpless. It looks like they are having a demonic illusion duel. Although it is possible to monitor this place silently now, it is definitely not as powerful as Gongyi, and he cannot invade the demonic illusion world of the two. It's been a long time standing here since the beginning. Another voice appeared, obviously a little impatient. Ah, let's wait a while now. As if talking to himself, Ju spoke again. And as soon as Ju's voice fell, Sasuke's side immediately made a move. Apparently the current two people have been lifted. Demonic illusion. Other words, now Sasuke has cracked Uchiha Itachi's demonic illusion. Back, he saw that nothing around him had changed. Sasuke naturally knew clearly that everything just happened was just an illusion. Now his eyes are full of alertness, and he has long since pulled out the grass pheasant sword from his waist. Through the conversation between the two just now, Sasuke now fully understands Sharingan's secret. Want to evolve to Mangekyo Sharingan, want to be promoted to Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. All of which, Sasuke has fully understood. And Uchiha Itachi's intention is obvious, and now Sasuke has understood it in his heart. Uchiha Itachi wants to use his eyes to enhance himself. To put it bluntly, his Mangekyo Sharingan is about to go blind. Now his own eyes can let his eyes evolve into the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. My heart began to sink, and now Uchiha Sasuke has to say that he has shown his real power. Uchiha Itachi's situation has made Sasuke unpredictable, and he dare not take his own life to make jokes. After all, after so long, Sasuke Uchiha felt that he didn't really understand Itachi.